and loud crowd is really hard to contain.
I was going to say, your organization has experience with having passionate fans. And you must be able to relate to this quite well.
Yeah, I just felt, I know what position you're in and what you're playing for, and that's, I think, why they perform like they perform. They have just a lot of enthusiasm, and they show that, and that's why the games that we, in the beginning, thought, okay, this is, you know, maybe really one-sided, they actually make it funny, they make it interesting, and I really like to see.
Well, now we're going to send it to the booth to check out the lineups, but first we'll hear from Besiktas's energy on how his lane opponent stacks up to the competition here in Florida.
I think Verbiven is, like, in this tournament, maybe middle of the pack. He doesn't have that much international experience. He's a rookie in LCS, so he's kind of new to the scene. Even though he favors Assassins, I think it will be an interesting matchup nonetheless.
And we are back, guys. Doa Monte Cristo and Jad here. Fnatic versus Besiktas, and it's time to check out our starting lineups for our 6th match of the day. Of course, for Fnatic, on the blue side, Huni in the top lane, Rainover in the jungle, Febiven in mid lane, Steelback at AD carry, Yellow Star at support.
And of course, representing Besiktas, the winners of the International Wildcard Invitational. On the red side, we got Thaldrun in the top lane, Theocles in the jungle, Energy, who we just heard from in the mid lane, Nardos and AD carry, and of course, Dumble Doge on support.
Dumble Doge.
I'm never going to get tired of that name.
The wizard himself. And so, we talked about it. We talked about the big implications for this match. It's going to mean a lot for both of these teams with who takes it.
Yeah, normally you kind of, a lot of teams tend to overlook the International Wildcard team, and Europe as a region knows not to do that now. When Alliance actually ended up losing to Kaboom in last year's Worlds, it can happen, and it has happened. So Fnatic absolutely has to take this as the most serious game of them so far in this group stage.
And what's great about this group stage, too, is that both of our last games actually mean a whole hell of a lot and can determine the fact that they're going to be tiebreakers, because a lot of times in these round robins, you get to some rather meaningless matches at the end, but we're really down to the wire in this one.
Man, we really are, and we're moments away from getting into the picks and bans for this one. So going into it, we just saw Fnatic actually play a more competitive game against SK Telecom than anyone else has in this tournament. Do you think they can keep that kind of momentum going, even though they lost against a team like Besiktas, as we move into picks and bans here?
Yeah, well, they had that discussion on the analyst desk. They're going to have to use that close game with SKT as confidence against Besiktas here. And I think specifically in picks and bans, Fnatic having Sivir unlocked a lot of their team fighting, and they were able to overcome a poor laning phase from Steelback and still have impact in team fights, because Steelback ended up getting something like 9 kills in that game, despite being down 40 CS early.
It was pretty competitive. Looks like Ahri the first ban against Besiktas. Looks like Morgana the second, of course, against Dumble Doge. He's been quite good on that support all week long so far. The LeBlanc ban #1 against Fnatic. See what ban #2 for Besiktas is going to be.
As much as Dumble Doge has prioritized Morgana, I say just let him take it in the first round of the draft. I would rather get rid of Rumble and Hecarim from Thaldrun myself. I think he's a much bigger threat on some of those champions. Cassiopeia ban against Febiven, who really made up for a rather poor initial Cassiopeia showing at this tournament with some pretty nice ults against SKT.
Yeah, and Besiktas obviously just trying to ban out that mid laner to give Energy a decent matchup at least. I would say that teams preparing their bans against Besiktas have generally just looked at what they've been most successful on, or what they prioritize the most, and just trying to push them off comfort a little bit. And for the most part, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Since every team who's banned against Besiktas has been victorious, the Ahri and Morgana bans seem quite logical there.
Yeah, fair point. Adding the Hecarim ban to that is Fnatic, so final ban over to Besiktas now. And we'll see what that's going to be. At this point, you know, do you ban something like the Gnar? Huni has been so dominant on that, or do you have to target the jungle? Looks like it's going to be the Urgot taken away from Fnatic. So Kalista still available. Don't know if we're going to see Steelback try to play that one. You know, what do you take here?
I want him to take Sivir first. I think it's the most important pick for Fnatic as a team. There's plenty of top laners that Huni would be able to play. Whether or not Thaldrun gets Rumble, that would be the other first pick I'd expect from Fnatic if they do anything.
I think SK Telecom, too, really did miss out on not having that Sivir in the last game. That is their preferred AD carry with that composition, and we saw how well they can do. Fnatic can play with it even if they fall behind, because Sivir's ult is just so powerful from that utility, and it couples so nicely with Huni's great teleports. But will be that Rumble taken away, so Thaldrun will not get his hands on either the Hecarim or the Rumble.
Yeah, and at this point, unless Besiktas takes Sivir in this rotation, it's going to go over to Fnatic. I feel like those were the two picks that were really being contested over in this particular matchup. So they're going to need to take at least Sivir here if they want a chance in this draft.
Well, maybe an Aurelia, the pick for Thaldrin this game. We'll see if they go ahead and lock that in. Would be a first for this tournament. The Azir, possibly taken very early on for Energy if they lock that in. Seems a bit risky if they go through with it.
Yeah, well, we have seen this thing in 2 games. Azir was banned against Febiven, even though he never played it in the regular season. But tons of people have been prepping Azir in preparation for this tournament, including Pawn, who we just got to see in our last game.
Yeah.
And I am very surprised they did not take Sivir here.
Well, they took Lucian and Sejuani instead. 2 picks over to Fnatic now.
I'm wondering if they saw the SK Telecom game and noticed how far Lucian was able to get ahead in the laning phase of Steelback and are trying to snowball off of that. Because the matchup went very, very poorly for Steelback.
It's a good point, actually.
Yep.
We'll see if that
could definitely be it. Yeah. One way that you beat Fnatic is you just beat them within the first 5 or 10 minutes, crush them in laning phase, and Fnatic has shown they have one gear, and it's straightforward. So if they're ever behind, they just keep crashing into the opponent. I like to say if Fnatic is losing, they make sure they lose quickly, because they will fight again and again and again.
Makes sense. Well, so far, Rumble Thresh hovered over. A Riven would be pretty interesting. Haven't seen that champion picked up in quite a while now. Switching it over to Rek'Sai and Thresh, yeah, seems a bit more reasonable for Fnatic, so 2 picks now over to Besiktas.
One of the most interesting facets of MSI has been that when in a lot of regions we saw the Rek'Sai fall out of popularity in terms of being the preeminent jungler, and it was more about Sejuani, it was more about Gragas a lot of the time. Here in Tallahassee, it has been all about Rek'Sai. Yeah. We've seen Clearlove switch over to Rek'Sai. Bengi was the only one who was really prioritizing Rek'Sai, I think, coming into this one.
Yeah.
Of course, TSM with Gragas most of the time as well.
I mean, if we're looking to analyze one of the reasons why that could happen, so much of the tank domination was all about the team fighting, and people, in my opinion, got a little bit lazy about the early game and the laning phase. Rek'Sai brings so much early presence, you can still preempt that Cinderhawk turning online, and Rek'Sai is one of the few champions that could cross over from the Warrior metagame to the Cinderhawk metagame and still have a huge amount of success.
And it's all about that Tremor Sense utility.
That's going to be it.
No way. It's a Bard for Dumbledoge. We're going to take a magical journey with Professor Dumbledoge, guys.
It's the perfect champion, really.
That's right. I would say so. Is he going to be Headmaster Dumbledoge this time, though?
Crowd giving him some love. All right.
Love for Teemo right now. I don't know how I feel about that. Maybe the Kalista pickup for Steelback after all, so calling that Lucian pick and maybe avoiding the Sivir. I don't know. I don't know if the Heimerdinger is going to get locked in here. We've seen, I mean, we just saw Bard get locked in, right? So who knows? Zed maybe, though, for Febiven. Yep, it'll get locked in. And Kalista taken by Steelback, not going with that Sivir.
All right, these blind pig Zed's got to stop.
Well, if we know anything about Energy, his Diana has been his champion of choice when Ahri's been taken away from him. The Sivir for Steelback, it's something he has played in the European LCS playoffs, but it was very underwhelming, and it's something that he has to do well in the laning phase with, especially against Gnar Sejuani. You can throw all the spears in the world into Sejuani and still not be effective, especially when they're going to bring shields like this. So, I mean, that SK Telecom game, Lucian shielded up by the Lulu.
It looks like they're going for the exact, or nearly, I should say, the very similar composition.
Two of the same champions.
Two of the same champions, but the same,
so nearly identical.
The same strategic principle. In this case, you want a lane swap. If you can get rolling with that Bard, though, in terms of creating a pick composition right here with a lot of speed, I mean, the Bard allows you to move your entire team through terrain to create picks.
Very true.
So could actually be quite exciting to watch if they can catch somebody alone, but that's going to require some pretty good warding.
I've got a feeling this is going to be a pretty intense game. We'll put it that way. Fnatic, though, wonder how they feel facing this Bard. Lustboy wasn't quite able to get a lot done with it, aside from helping Sion run unimpeded through team fights. Nicely done there.
Round 2 for Bard. I have a little bit of faith in Dumbledoge's Bard right here. I hope they're picking it for the lane swapping strategy right here, and they're actually going to use some roaming situations with it, something Lustboy did not do. I also like the Lulu into the blind pick Zed. That is an incredibly favorable matchup for the Lulu, especially in team fights.
Yeah, you really have a lot of flexibility in terms of where that death mark gets used.
And here we go, guys. Moments away from getting into game number 6. Fnatic versus Besiktas here at the mid-season Invitational. And I gotta say, I love these lineups. I love these comps. This game is going to be insane. Coach is shaking hands, and we are ready, guys, to move on to Summoner's Rift. You guys know what to do. Tweet at LOL Esports with the hashtag FNCWin or BJKWin. And we'll see which team you think is going to take it. It's time. I was just stalling so I could say welcome to Summoner's Rift, guys. Here we go. Fnatic versus Besiktas. It is time. Right?
To scream into the camera.
That's right. I promise.
Brilliant.
Time soon. Here we go. Now it's time. Our stage is beautiful, by the way. There we go. Now it is time to get on the Rift.
Yes, it is.
Nailed it. Is that a TSM?
It's BJK.
Oh, BJK. I was going to say.
Three-letter chants through a headset of noise dulling is easy to confuse with TSM, but Dumble Doge has tipped the scales in their favor as far as a fan support perspective.
He is starting with Spell Thief's Edge, which makes more sense if he's going to stay in lane. You know, Lustboy starting with that cloth armor, but then not really roaming on his Bard. If you're going to stay in lane, this is probably what you want to pick up. Oh boy. Here comes Bard. And a little bit of damage. Flay on Denardius. A lot of damage. Getting the tether on that Q. Landed the first Q. I still think it's good luck.
15 gold.
That's true.
He got all of his Spell Thief's Edge procs out just like that.
The money.
Honestly, you can get 2 of those off just with an auto attack from Bard because you're proccing the Meep as well, which counts for a Spell Thief's Edge. So it's actually, if you're going to lane, works in a pretty good set of circumstances, but they still, I would hope to see a lot of roaming from Dumble Doge still.
I hope so too. I mean, he did get some really nice buffs over the last 2 patches. He's in a pretty good state right now. The issue is that you really need to have practiced with this champion as a team. It's not something that you can just spend a while in solo queue and then take it in. Looks like Fnatic wants some Roast Rek'Sai to start this game with.
Looks like they're not going to be backing out of the 2v2. Yellowstar and Steelback starting on the Krugs. They can take them both or just the little one.
Looks like they'll grab
both of them.
Ooh, Dumble Doge. Dumble Doge trying to make a difference here. Getting the auto attack damage in, poking Yellowstar a lot. Wow, they may steal this.
They're going
here. Is he going to get it? He got it! Dumble Doge gets the ancient Krug.
And because he can get experience from picking up the meeps around the map.
Yeah, the chimes.
The chimes around the map.
He's already level 2.
He gets level 2 straight off that. Doesn't even have to burn his flash either in order to secure the Krugs.
We awarded 10 points to Dumble Doge earlier this week. I think that's worth at least like 15 to 25 right there.
60 gold coins to Dumble Doge.
60 gold to Dumble Doge. Wow, look at the harass, man.
Well, he's got the early level 2. I mean, the harass there from the late invade. Fnatic needed to abandon that as soon as they saw him because they knew they couldn't burst it down.
Yeah, and he's playing this really well. You leave the W back in lane for your carry to pick up after it sort of matures. I don't know. Is that what you call it?
It's like a fine wine that you leave for your AD carry, Noah.
That's right.
Just put it in the old wine cellar.
Yep.
For a few years.
It ages well. You know, 2015 was a very good year for Bard Ws. Dumble Doge still with that position. Got to be careful, though. Taking some spears now from Steelback. But all in all,
he's level 3.
He is.
Already hitting 3 before Steelback and Yellowstar even hit level 2.
Crazy. Wow, a lot of action in this top lane. Thaldrin getting really low. Huni, there's a flash. Not quite used from Thaldrin, getting kind of low, but just barely deciding not to use that summoner. It's a close call.
This has been the great advantage of Fnatic in their games, has been Huni's ability to bully people 1v1, and Reignover going real aggressive.
Yeah, no kidding. Theocles taking a lot of damage here. It's a close one, but Theocles has to go on the run. Again, no summoners used for either side, but it was close. Whoa, Febivin coming down. Everybody just deciding the river is the place to be right now. Trying to come down to support their junglers, but in the end, Febivin getting a positive trade there.
Still going potentially for a gank on the mid lane here.
Maybe. We'll see if Rainover can pull this off. There we go. Him coming in. A lot of damage onto Energy. Ignite was used. Energy trying to make it out. He still has that flash. Still has his own Ignite. He's in a lot of trouble, though. Nice, tricky flash. Dodges a Razor Shurikens. Oh, the Prey Seeker does connect, but it looks like Energy may escape. Rainover still threatening. Here comes Saldren. Can they save him? Energy in a lot of trouble. Your first blood taken by Rainover. Oh, the double kill for Rek'Sai. A good start for Fnatic.
Yeah, right off the red buff there, actually.
Yeah.
Looks like for that double kill, but great follow coming up from Vivin. And they're able to pick up both kills in that lane. Huni flashing to get the Flame Spitter damage down.
A little bit of damage onto Nardius there in the bot lane.
Rainover's Rek'Sai has been a highlight in all of Fnatic's games. Even in the European LCS playoffs, it was what carried some of their games.
Yeah.
I think it was just a nice Prey Seeker there right at the end, as well as the red buff, which ticked him down under the turret for the double kill. That's going to be really necessary because he has to help out this bottom lane. It's amazing the amount of presence that this Besiktas bottom lane has, keeping those health packs behind him and not even needing them.
Yeah, and I mean, as those kind of stack up too, you have the ability to trade really aggressively and then just walk back and heal, and you get a little bit of a speed boost too. So if any ganks happen, you can escape even easier. I think that's, you know, people talk a lot about Bard's weak laning phase, and he is weaker than some of the other supports we see a lot, but his laning phase honestly isn't that bad if you know how to play him.
It's also Steelback and Yellowstar, who have been having a pretty horrendous tournament in terms of laning phase. So
shutting one down,
sorry, I am the hype killer, but
appreciate it, buddy.
Dylan, with the buffs to Bard, he does have a decent laning phase in some matchups. I don't think Kalista Thresh is the matchup for it.
Not normally, but I'll give that one to you. That's true.
Yeah. And especially if you get that early experience edge, he was level 2 long before the lane started. So it's the way they've been able to get that early pressure.
Theocles coming down here, maybe thinking about a bit of a dive. Oh, I don't think he was spotted, not yet. Oh, now they see him. Well, you're committed now. Theocles coming in, Yellowstar just flaying him away. Steelback starting to load on the auto attacks. Hour getting brought in, or not Rainover getting brought in rather. Fnatic pushing. Besiktas back. Oh, Dumbledoge. No, he's getting so low. The Rend may just do it. Oh, he picks up the heal. Meanwhile, action up there. Theocles getting low. Dumbledoge manages to stay alive for now. Can he do it? Oh, the spear coming out of nowhere. He was sniped. Snipe killed Dumbledoge.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
You had
Spoiler alert,
You've been waiting so long.
Sorry. Spoiler alert.
Rainover is just asserting his dominance right now in this game. He already has his warrior completed, and he is just chasing them down.
Yeah, Nardius in big trouble there. Forces the flash, or flash force. Meanwhile, Thaldrin dies up in top lane as Fedbin roamed up for that one. Nardius just going to go ahead and recall now. Out of the danger for the moment, but Fnatic taking a pretty big lead. It's 7 minutes, already 2K gold ahead.
Fnatic secures their spot in the bracket stage with a win here against Besiktas. If they can take this advantage into a win, Rainover, he had that warrior, I think, 6 minutes into the game because of his early double kill. He is absolutely trying to take over, but he has stayed a very long time.
They pinned Rainover to the wall here.
This is the end.
Yeah, is it? Rainover getting a little bit low. Energy misses that Q. Looks like it'll be enough. There we go. So Energy,
you know,
helps Dumbledoge pick up the kill.
Sometimes you don't want to be in the enemy tri-brush when they're coming back from lane by yourself, but
sometimes you do, but if you do, you got to accept that you're probably going to get killed immediately.
This is the gank we missed off in the top lane. Febiven was up there, but it was mostly ceremonial. I feel like Huni had him for the most part.
Oh boy, Deathmark comes down. Wild Growth from Energy, though, should prevent most of the damage, and it will, as will the shield. All the mana gone from Energy now, though, so probably going to need to go back pretty soon. And there's our fan vote results here. 57% for Fnatic, but a lot of faith in Besiktas. Nope, Thaldrin, though, getting cooked a bit, about to become Meganar, and Huni again has just been such a bully up in this top lane. Look at that. And no summoner right now for Thaldrin. He's going to ult Huni against the wall. That's a lot of damage. That's a lot of stunning. Huni has to back away. Whoa, the building lands. It's getting close. Thaldrin, you know, he's a little bit worried about the jungler coming in, I suppose. Did he really have any wards to get home? No, he just was a little bit too worried.
Yeah, he had a ward right there at the blue buff. They're pinging him now, but there was a possibility that maybe he could have been coming through the river. But Thaldrin, with the equalizer down, actually did, I think, have a kill shot right there.
I think so, too. Backs away, though.
Also, there's been some deep wards by Fnatic, so they should have knowledge that Theocles could be waiting in that brush.
Well,
This would be a bit of an aggressive bait by Huni, because if he gets stunned up, he's dead.
Yeah, there's the ult onto Huni. Thaldrin coming in to add the damage. Theocles picks up that kill. And Rainover doesn't quite get close enough. That was a bit awkward.
I'm not sure you even needed to use Sejuani ult right there.
Nope.
Well, they wanted to make sure they killed him quickly because his equalizer was going to come back up, and they knew Rainover was in the area.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that. That's a good point. Meanwhile, CS leads in mid and bottom and top for Fnatic. Just across the board, a little bit higher. Dumbledoge still harassing, gets flayed in. Nardius comes down. Whoa. Hey, Rek'Sai.
He's teleporting on the sentry.
Oh, and nice. Oh, Tempered Fate on the teleporting. Huni didn't end up saving. Dumbledoge couldn't get to his magical journey tunnel, rather. Meanwhile, Nardius has to try to avoid that equalizer, but he's going to get dove under turret anyway. A kill for Huni yet again. And Fnatic already starting to run away from this one a little bit. It was a nice idea, the Bard ult on the Rumble as he comes in, but with so many people nearby, you're just not going to get away. Textbook
Fnatic play right there. Huni using his teleport in the bottom lane. The tweak here was that it was a Callista Sentinel that had wandered into the brush that gave him the flank position for that teleport.
Yep.
Super cool synergy right there, and they're able to pick up the kills and the dragon.
Yeah, with the Rek'Sai tunnels and the Sentinels on Fnatic, it really actually does make quite a few good teleport targets for Huni, and a lot of flexibility in terms of his positioning with this particular composition.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Pretty crazy stuff. You can take out wards, but it's hard to catch every single Sentinel. Well, Dumbledoge and the rest of Besiktas coming in to try to get a little bit of vision back. Hi. Trying to take the red buff, I see. Rainover smites to get a little bit of health back. Theocles harassing, and there's a magical journey to get Dumbledoge perhaps out of danger. Ooh, I don't know. Huni coming down. Dumbledoge may be in a little bit of trouble, getting cooked a bit by that flame spitter, but he'll be able to make it out just fine.
Also notice Fnatic is in the midst of a lane swap right now. They're switching their mid and their top laner because Thaldrin stacked so much magic resistance. He was getting bullied by Huni's Rumble. Febiven's already going up there to go against him. He can easily chunk down Mininar if he gets a good ultimate off with the Zed top lane.
Good lane swap by Fnatic.
It's also extra scary because of the Warrior enchant onto Rek'Sai as well. So if Rek'Sai comes up there, there's almost nothing that Thaldrin's going to be able to do in order to deal with this double AD situation.
That's a good point. Febiven waiting, lurking in the brush. And meanwhile, whoa, Besiktas hiding in a brush for some reason. Nice play from Yellowstar. A lot of trouble. Tempered Fate locks some people up. Huni coming in with that equalizer. A couple kills already for Fnatic as Dumbledoge and Theocles try to escape. Flash from Steelback, gonna pick up one kill, and he wants the double. Theocles in a lot of trouble. Steelback picks up the double on Callista.
Nearly an ace because the Zed had soloed out Thaldrin in the top lane as well.
Right.
A trap gone horribly wrong there for Besiktas. No way they should have been waiting in that brush.
Well, it's not only that, but the skill shots were highly inaccurate, and there seemed to be no conversation about whether Theocles or Dumbledoge was going to ult first, so they kind of awkwardly ulted sort of at the same time, and then the focus just wasn't there onto Rainover afterwards.
It's one of those bars situations where you just kind of shrug and press R, and you're like, well, hopefully it hits right, people. But unfortunately, it didn't quite work out that time. A turret taken down by Fnatic now. 10-2 in kills. Pretty massive gold lead already in this game. It's just 12 minutes. This could be a quick one. Let's take a look at that replay of what happened up in top lane. Febiven versus Thaldrin.
That is a Hex Drinker, Null Magic Mantle, and Boots on the Gnar right there.
Yep.
No way he's surviving through a Zed all in like that.
Certainly not. Oh, mid turret getting pretty low here. He would be locked down, but I don't think Fnatic is going to take too long to take out that mid turret. Dumbledoge doing what he can. That's not much right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, nearly a 6,000 gold lead for Fnatic, already 13 minutes in. This is the game they love to play. Get an early game advantage. Warrior on Enchantment on Rainover, really showing you what he plans to do on this game is just kill people relentlessly. Huni has been living on the mid and bottom side of the map. He's not really a top laner outside of the first few minutes of the game. They are a roaming kill squad, and they've been doing just that.
Besiktas putting a little bit of pressure onto this mid lane. They might get the turret. Oh, Rainover coming in from behind, forcing that flash from energy right away. Double Doge lures him away with the magical journey. Everybody loves to take the magical journey, so we'll all chase Double Doge. Nice hook onto Thaldrin there, flame against the wall. Meanwhile, Double Doge will ult himself to stay alive for just a few more seconds before Steelback kills him. Oh, that equalizer! That was a fantastic ultimate from Huni. Wow, and what a rout from Fnatic. Really doesn't get much easier than that, does it?
The perfect clump of enemy champions, and Huni lays it right over top of him. Steelback as well, 4-0-6. Really able to clean up some kills when Rainover gets those ganks, and they get the ace anyway.
Yeah.
Great patience from Huni on that ultimate, too. Waiting throughout all of that so the Bard couldn't ult everything down, and then hitting him with the perfect equalizer.
Yeah, and I really got to question that ult from Double Doge as well, too. I mean, ulting yourself there really doesn't do a whole lot, whereas you can get it onto a few members of the enemy team. It might work out. Ooh, Fevivin getting a little bit low there, trapped under turret. Trying to finish. Can he do it? Oh, flayed away. Oh, no, and Steelback gets the kill. He just wanted one kill. Can't you give Double Doge that? Well, actually, no. Double Doge killed Faker this tournament. What more does he want? Never mind. He's satisfied with what you've got, Double Doge. I'd be happy with that.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished, indeed. Well, Theocles says, these are my Krugs. Rainover disagrees.
I like how Rainover is now moving into Hex Drinker himself.
Why not?
Just maximizing his damage at this point. They want to keep scrapping.
Yeah.
And he's confident that his little bit of a level advantage and the backup from his team will allow them to explode targets in a pretty efficient manner. And yeah, as for Double Doge's ult, he could have ulted into the choke and then turned on to Callista on the backside of that team. Considering they were all together right there, may have been a little bit more effective.
Well, generally in a situation like that, you just try to ult the enemy team to let yourself get away, you know, or if you want to fight it, just get a couple of them on the side to make it just like a 3v4 for a moment or 2v4 for a moment.
That's one of the interesting ways that Bard, I think, is going to be shaping League of Legends moving forward, because it's very hard to flank or do pincer movements against a Bard team, because it makes it really easy just to cut half the team out immediately.
Well, the great thing about Bard is that when you know how a team is going to engage the fight, you can say, all right, I can see this coming. I'm going to choose which part of their engage I don't want to deal with. And so when you slow that down, you throw off the timing and you can kind of turn the team fights around in a big way.
Yeah, I definitely don't think this is the representation of what Bard brings to a competitive match. But
I think you're right, yes.
You're so gentle in your phrasing, Chad.
I will agree that Bard does have a future on the competitive scene. He has tons of strengths that are applicable. This is just Fnatic spalling on an opponent really hard.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's crazy how night and day this Fnatic team really is. They either get crushed or they are doing the crushing. And that SKT game was them kind of on their game early on, and SKT doing everything in their power to hang around and eventually turn it around at the end. But Besiktas has done nothing to keep the goal close in this one, and it's looking really grim.
Oh yeah, 10,000 gold ahead. It's 17 minutes for Fnatic. It really doesn't get too much more stompy than that, does it?
And Fnatic, just coming into this tournament as well, what an impressive start for this team, just in terms of raw skill. Yeah, they're not the most refined strategically in terms of their map movement.
Right.
But this is a team that has 3 rookies.
Rainover. Worst jungler ever. Oh, no.
This is a team that has had 3 rookies and is still looking like they're going to make it into the playoffs here at a major international event. Won the season.
Yeah.
So I think that moving forward for Fnatic, I think they're really only going to get better.
Yeah, there's so much potential on this team.
Yeah,
the way they're able to snowball games with leads is telling enough. The way Huni has that aggression gear, it's all about throwing depth into their game as far as they're looking for the next step, picking up more new champions. The Cassiopeia was a beautiful thing that they could add at the start of this event. If we are to believe the bans from the opponent, Febiven's Azir as well is another great thing they can show. And mainly being able to stick around in close games and win those, because the thing that they're great at is what's got them this far. It's playing the mid game extremely well, strong laning phase, and great ganks bottom lane from Huni.
Oh, they're certainly doing that as they push ever closer to Besiktas' base. Not a lot that the red side can do at this point, aside from maybe hope for a team fight. I mean, the thing with Bard is if a team fight happens, you can split off half of them at the beginning of it. If you have enough burst, which you certainly can with the Lucian, if you can blow half of them up, maybe you can even win a fight, but I'm being pretty generous there.
You split off half the team at this point. The other half will kill you.
It's quite possible.
With that
Yeah, I think that
11,000 gold lead.
Yeah.
gold lead at sub 20 minutes here means that a 3v5 is definitely possible for
It's not
Fnatic.
hard to win a game, guys. That's so wrong.
You'll get it, Noah.
It's the wrong bar.
Give it time. It will happen.
I just believe in Double Doge.
You just need patience, just like Cooney had with his equalizer in the mid-game team fight.
Exactly.
Just wait for the right moment.
What a great analogy that was. I will always remember that. Well, for now, I mean, Fnatic can just kind of take it easy. Just sort of control the jungle, wait for objectives to come back up. They can bait that Baron that's coming up in 30 seconds as much as they want.
Yep, they just got to play it mostly safe. They know they win this, they're through to the bracket stage. All they need is this second win in the group stage. They're in complete control of this game. And for once, Fnatic is actually letting off the gas pedal, if only temporarily.
Yeah.
Well, with Baron coming up so soon and the fact that they have that top side control, they have a really good opportunity, especially with this Kalista early on, to go end the Blade of the Ruined King already on Zed as well, to do a pretty quick 20-minute Baron, or just get a pick in the jungle first. So
yeah,
they're set up quite good right now. And Baron is live, so we may see an attempt right after these minion waves are pushed out.
Yeah, we'll see. Dumbledore's still wandering about, collecting those chimes. Got the Ionian Boots of Lucidity as well for the cooldown reduction, which as you move across the map, you get those chimes. You can really make up for a lot of the speed you lose when you don't buy the movement speed boots. So works out pretty well. Good items, although he needs more AP. Good start. Well, Besiktas trying to defend this tier 2 tower in top lane.
Fnatic really just needs to bait the Baron right now.
Yeah.
They don't have to get any more towers. Their comp is not good at sieging.
That was
Swing and a miss.
an interesting decision.
Yeah, there's also the chance that if Besiktas actually tries to contest that outer turret, this is the trap turret right now when you're trying to hold this one. One shot on the turret and you lose the entire shield for your team.
Yeah.
And the retreat path is completely gone. But it is, in fact, the Baron bait with Kalista secure. If they want it, which is what BGK has to respect right now. Here comes the fight.
Whoa, Equalizer really did a good job in that quote. Dumbledore trying to get out with that magical journey. Looks like Lucian already low. Yeah, they'll take out Nardius very quickly. There goes Energy as well. 2 kills for Fnatic. They don't need any more. They might be able to kill Thaldron here, but more importantly, they can turn and take this Baron anytime they want.
Yeah, just go on to the Baron right now.
Yeah.
Don't worry about anything else. Steal back. Having to walk the long way around right here.
The lantern, man.
Where is the lantern?
I bet Rainover took the lantern. Fucking jerk. Use the tunnel.
That's definitely
the Achilles.
Oh, Feminine comes back. Oh, man.
There's the lantern.
Wow.
That's a Fed Zed.
That is a Fed Zed.
Bebeven making the blind pick Zed work in this one, but mainly because of the swap once they got away from the Lulu. All the magic resist stacking that Thaldron did made it easy pickings for Febeven to just kill him again and again.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Thaldron right now, too, he still doesn't have any armor. So he's still not in any better position against this Zed than he was earlier.
And also, Energy's build, he just picked up his first major AP item in the Zonias. He actually went Arm Guard into Sheen, so really not a lot of damage there to work with. Maw of Malmortius finished onto Rainover.
Because why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Why not get Maw of Malmortius? That's a good buy on this situation. Dumbledoge. Lurking. Oh.
Looks like Fnatic is going to try and set up any type of flank possible. Besiktas has to get back to their base immediately. There will be Baron minions pushing up in 3 lanes potentially. Fnatic's strong enough that they can actually do a 1-3-1, which could quickly end the game for them if they get any type of kill.
Wow, there's the Equalizer going down.
Don't run all over it.
He's walking right down it. It's not a red carpet, man. That thing will kill you. Jeez. Oh, kill on Thaldron as well. Fnatic, yeah, Febeven, sure. He's like, yeah, I can't get through that bait skate. Thanks, man. Now I'll kill your carry. Oh, Tempered Fate says yes. Says yes, it will. He will kill your carry. Achilles trying to help out Rainover, taking a lot of damage from the turret. Oh, barely survives. Looks like, meanwhile, more action in the base. Huni pops that Zonius for the moment, just to wait for the rest of his teammates to show up. There is the ace, and that will be an inhibitor turret and an inhibitor taken out by Fnatic. Well, It's going pretty well for Fnatic, huh?
It's going fantastically for Fnatic as far as trying to get momentum going into tomorrow. This would clinch them at the 4th seed in the playoffs, meaning they will play the 1st seed. And at this point, they're just going to have to figure out who they play.
Yeah. I would imagine it's probably going to be SK Tel.
Most likely. There is also the chance that if AHQ beats SKT, they force a 3-way tie for 1st place. That's going to be potentially our last game of the day if SKT wins.
If SKT wins, they kind of lock it up. And there we go. Yeah, see, we were telling the truth. AHQ versus SKT coming up after this one. Fnatic bulldozing their way through more turrets as Besiktas tries to hold on for dear life. Oh, Rainover over the wall. And there we go. Why not just make it complete? Take out that last inhibitor turret. Take out that last inhibitor. Maybe a desperation fight incoming for Besiktas. Looks like Energy is just going to try to solo the dragon. In the meantime, I don't know if that dragon sack's going to help you a whole lot at this point.
I don't think Hooney's going to let him.
No, I don't think he's going to let him either. There goes the inhibitor. And now Fnatic is ready to end it. Rainover already taking that down. And Hooney's like, no, man, you can't have this dragon.
Small victories! Small victories!
He got it! He got the dragon. Hooney's like, there's your one dragon, fine, there you go. And Fnatic.
Oh, big ult, actually.
Yeah. Big ult, a lot of damage onto Fnatic here, but Steelback remains relatively untouched, still autoing away onto Thaldrin, who still doesn't have a lot of armor. Equalizer in the fountain right now, healing? I don't think so. Tempered Faith locks some people up. Oh, this may be the moment. Yellowstar getting in trouble. Meanwhile, the Nexus getting taken out. There it goes, and Fnatic secures themselves a spot in the playoffs. GG.
And with that as well, we know our 2 teams that aren't going to be in the playoffs here. It is Besiktas and TSM.
That's right.
And quite an accomplishment for Fnatic to make it into the semifinals of this tournament. Many people have counted them out early on, saying they wouldn't be able to take down TSM. They were no match for a national competition. They'd be picked apart. Yet they played a very tight game against SKT, who is their likely opponent tomorrow in the semifinals if things hold to patterns so far in the group stage.
Oh, that's really exciting too. I mean, again, you know, really making it tough for SKT in that match. If they play them in a best of 5, they're going to have another chance to take a win.
My question is, we did see SKT play a little bit fast and loose on some of their invades and sort of play Fnatic style of game. And my concern is that does Fnatic have another way of playing League of Legends? Because their emphasis on kind of saving Steelback by Hooney teleporting into the bottom lane is a readable condition. And if you can avoid those ganks and just play conservatively, I think you can get the best of Fnatic when they play overly aggressive.
That's right. And so to take a closer look at Fnatic's win there, let's check in with Dash at the desk.
Thank you, Doa. Now, with that victory, we do have our final 4 teams locked in for the semifinals tomorrow. Let's take a look at the standings just to recap the remaining possibilities. Currently, SKT remains at the top of the table, but if AHQ beats them in our next game, that would create a 3-way tie for first. And since no team owns the head-to-head over the other 2, that would mean 2 extra games, gentlemen. I bet you're all happy to hear that. Bonus games is right.
I don't like the term tiebreaker. I like bonus games.
Yeah, it makes it sound like a win for everyone. No one's being forced to play a game. Because I'm sure SKT would like to avoid the bonus games.
But we'd all like to watch the bonus games.
Exactly. Well, let's look at that then, because this is very interesting. When you look at the 3 teams that would be in that tiebreaker, EDG, SKT, and AHQ, 2 of them were expected to be there. 1 of them was not. And so I really do want to take a look at AHQ and their performance throughout this tournament so far.
I'm really liking what they're doing so far, and they've been very vocal about just wanting to prove to the world that they are good, and they have done it here. I think they're going to bring their A game when they play SKT, and to be honest, with the performance that SKT showed against Fnatic, showing those early game weaknesses and how Fnatic exploited them, I think they can take a note from the Fnatic book, put it into theirs, and perhaps come out on top.
Yeah, I think Mountain has had a phenomenal series, a phenomenal tournament so far, because he was a guy who wasn't really stepping up back in the LMS, and then it was like, whoa, where's this guy coming from? And he's really good right now, and he synergizes really well and gets everybody ahead. So I think, once again, the Rek'Sai on him, Rek'Sai on every jungler here who has early game pressure is crazy. But this is a team that's not afraid to take risks, and that's catching a lot of people off guard. And I want to see this matchup versus SKT, because they're a team who doesn't take a whole lot of risk without the vision.
And I'm sure you're happy, Spawn, by the idea that EDG could leave the group stages in first.
Yeah, theoretical possibility still on the table that EDG comes out first. But I actually think that SKT benefit the most if they drop this game. The reason why is because SKT don't give much away when they play. So everyone has seen how SKT play. They play a very controlled style of game. I think that AHQ have the least to give away because they're kind of bursting through these games and catching people off guard. The more they play, the more they keep doing that. Some of that surprise goes out the windows. Maybe we can track a trend because a couple of the other teams, SKT, we know that Lulu is now something that you really have to look at. How Lulu gets through so much, I have absolutely no idea. But maybe that is something that we can look at there.
Yeah, you can just ban so much, and SKT is just so strong, especially when Faker is playing. So you have to leave something open, but maybe another approach is leave the Lulu not open for Faker because he seems to perform extremely strong.
I'd rather have him on Lulu, to be honest. If you've seen him one-shot people on his deer, just put him on something that's not going to demolish your team.
I think you can like leave open the LeBlanc, and if you win, it would be League of Legends history.
Well, we do have to get through that next matchup first, but for now, we're going to send it down to the floor where Shox is standing by with our newest semifinalists.
Thank you very much, Dash. I'm joined here by Rainover and Huni after making it into the playoffs here at MSI. Now, I don't want to take anything away from the fact that you guys did make it into the playoffs as a new team, but first I want to get your vision kind of on why you think that you guys went so up and down the last couple of days in your games.
Yesterday and today, there was like some sloppy games. Like we give EDG and HQ like really lots of points in early game. Like usually our weakness was early game, and then like we make some mistakes, like burning our flashes in level 1, like these things. So like we were not used to like those camps and those aggressive early games because like especially Chinese teams, they play really aggressive, and then we learned so much about like their early game aggressive plays. So yep.
Yep. Huni?
What? 그러니까 하면서 경기력이 좀 많이 올라갔다 내렸다 했는데 그 이유가 뭐냐고 생각해요?
I think we are a new team, except Yellow Star, so we have not enough like experience. So when we playing winning game, we getting exciting, and then we lose focus, and then we miscommunicate. It's pretty much. So I think it's really need experience. I think so.
Yeah, so learning a lot so far. How has it been in general getting to play against some of the best teams in the world and maybe interacting with them and talking to them and meeting some of those players?
We were so happy that we could play such big teams, really good teams, and we learned so much things. I feel like I learned so much things by playing MSI, and I'm really happy, and yep.
Huni, was there someone you were very happy to meet here at MSI?
Of course, I'm really happy for I keep my experience, my courage, and then I first time experience about playing for international tournaments. It will be really cool, and then it was until here it's really good.
Really good experience so far. Well, the people love you over here too. Final question though, great experience and all, but it's not over yet. You have made it into playoffs. That does mean that you will be playing or AHQ or SKT or EDG, which haven't been your best matches. So do you think you can bridge the gap until tomorrow, or is it too early for you as a new team?
First time we play playoffs, like best of 5. Like we were really like they didn't have confidence because everyone was like first time, but like by doing the EU LCS, we played 2 best of 5, and then we both go 5th game. So I think we have a little bit experience on best of 5, and I'm pretty confident in best of 5 more than like this best of 1. So I think whoever team, like maybe we can make some surprise.
Make some surprise. Huni, what do you think?
Of course, I think so too. We can be like make me for fans, and we can make surprise, and that I hope so that I will be like winner this tournament.
You hope you win the whole thing. Well, congratulations, you made it in the playoffs. We have to take a short break, but we'll be right back with our regular scheduled matches as SKT takes on AHQ for the seeding for the playoffs. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Still threatening. Here comes Saldrin. Can they save him? Energy in a lot of trouble. Your first blood taken by Rainover. Flash from Steelback. Going to pick up 1 kill, and he wants the double. Theocles in a lot of trouble. Steelback. Oh, that equalizer. That was a fantastic ultimate from Huni. Wow, and what a route.
Oh no.
Fnatic secures themselves a spot in the playoffs. GG.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage of the 2015 Midseason Invitational, where AHQ Esports Club are about to face off against SK Telecom T1. This is the story of first place here. If AHQ wins, they will be drawn into a three-way tie for first, and we will have bonus games, as Zyrene puts it. If SKT wins, they will hold first place uncontested here. And we have to make note that in this game, EasyHoon will be playing for SKT. So how does that affect this matchup?
Well, we saw Easy Hoon take a more of a passive approach to the laning as we've known, coming with the champion pool. Not necessarily champions that can kill in lane of Vladimir, just trying to farm up. And how does Westdoor pair up against people that aren't necessarily going to punish him and try to kill him? Well, he roams. And I think that's what we're going to see in this game. Is it going to be effective? Perhaps not so much, because when they have Easy Hoon, Bengi tends to focus on the side lanes, so it probably will end in a game where there's 4 to 5 man on the bottom side in the jungle, and it's going to be all about the Rek'Sai. AHQ has first pick. I think SKT should ban this away.
Yeah, I want to see what Westdoor can do up against Easy Hoon, because Faker, he's the god of death. He gets so many kills in lane. And I was calling Easy Hoon the immortal, but it came to me, and he's the god of life. He's the opposite of Faker here. That guy just doesn't die. He's played 17 games, and he's died 18 times. He averages just over, literally 1.09 deaths per game. He has so many deathless games. And this season, he's only had one game where he's had more than 2 deaths. He does not die in lane. And if Westdoor is looking for some type of advantage, like you said, he has to go elsewhere. But Bengi's going to be a problem for him. Also, Marin in the top lane has been having a really good tournament. The last time, up against Fnatic, it's the only time we saw him exploited with roams from the top laner. So I want to see a lot of roaming from AHQ, and that's how they're going to get on top of this.
Yeah, I definitely think that the way I describe Easy Hoon, if we're just going to go through all the metaphors, is a brick wall. They just throw up the brick wall.
He's the god of brick walls.
Keep them coming, gentlemen.
But in all honesty, the reason that I like it is because they already have a split pusher in Marin, and that's who's going to go up against Westdoor. So I think they have a fairly good response against Westdoor during the mid game. I think a lot of pressure also is on Bengi. He needs to respond correctly. If the Rek'Sai does get taken away, what does he default to? Because we've seen that Mountain, he relies on Rek'Sai a little bit, but has the Jarvan, which fills a niche role that I was very against, and then the style that he camps the lane, I've actually kind of grown to appreciate exactly what he's trying to get done in the early game.
All right, well, let's do what you said. Let's continue it anyway. I want to throw this question out to the fans at home. How do you describe Easy Hoon? Send your answers to @LollySports and use the hashtag MSI2015. I'm really curious to see what we get. But coming back to this game, AHQ here, again, we did not expect them to be at the top of the table coming into this tournament, but this is not unfamiliar territory for them. They were not expected to have done well in their own region. They've now made it here. They've proven everyone wrong. There's one team left to beat, though, SKT at the top of the table. How do they do that specifically?
Well, they also have to beat EDG again.
Yes, but they're here, the undefeated team, right? Yeah. They're tied with EDG currently in the standings in terms of record. SKT is undefeated right now. They can topple the Kings.
What I think they do is they bring Mountain, and they also rely on TPs and roams from the top lane, and they all go bottom, because Anne has been just opening up the map, and you're not going to be able to power through Marin top. You're not going to be able to kill Easy Hoon, and I think that's where you get your advantage is the bottom lane.
See, I think a problem with that is that Marin is rushing the home guards early, and we saw him, even with TP down, he just Rico and go home guards to the bottom lane when he can't even get back up just to see if he can get something. So I'm thinking this game's going to be a huge bloodbath in the bottom lane, and it's going to come down to the jungle picks, and it's going to be either AHQ first picks the Rek'Sai, or SKT bans it, or they take it themselves, thinking that AHQ power picks another more priority pick. But I don't think that's going to happen. The Nunu was underwhelming at best. So this is going to be a tough game for SKT.
And I think all the roles are being pointed out here, top lane and jungle specifically. I think it's really more about the mid lane. They go for the Immortal with no losses yet, and I think that's the right strategy. Honestly, what we saw Easy Hoon do against more passive laners, when Westeros, for example, playing Karthus, he can even get the solo kills on the lane, which he did. And I think, subbing in him, I think that's a great move.
What lessons can be learned from the Fnatic game against SKT? Because they have been the closest so far to beating SKT in this tournament. And AHQ, we've said it all along, has a pretty similar play style to Fnatic. They're willing to have very bloody games.
Yeah, you have to execute the team fights around the objective control. They just don't like to let them go. They thought that they had a good team fighting composition against them, and Fnatic kept pushing the button. The thing they need to do differently is not make that slip up. We were calling out the positioning around the team fights where they weren't getting deep enough in there. The willingness to not burn flashes that Fnatic were showing with the Cassiopeia. I think that if AHQ commits super hard on their team fights and can get that advantage, SKT at some point is going to have to fight them back.
I think for this matchup, when you're preparing for it and you're thinking, okay, the closest thing to a loss for SKT in this tournament was a match against Fnatic. But that is not enough of what do you call that? That sample size of matches to create a good pattern from that game. So you need to cross-examine that one with the losses that SKT has had throughout the season and determine, okay, what is similar that happened before that is happening now, and use that as the...
That's impossible. They haven't lost on 5.5. How do you do that throughout the season? You just can't do that.
They haven't lost in this match either, right? They didn't lose here, but they still showed like that was the closest thing to a loss. They have had a lot of losses, and they have lost individual matches. Maybe not series, but for example, against CJ, they went 5 games. They had 2 losses in the beginning. You can see differences in their play when they win and when they lose, and you can exploit that.
But the hard thing is that when they lost those games to CJ, it wasn't the Bengi plus EasyHoon combo. So the preparation here and the sub comes in, it's actually a very different story.
And that's actually really smart from SKT. Now you see subbing in the right people throws actually the games off, because how do you research this team if they have so many different facets, how they can build up their team? So I think smart move from SKT.
Well, and so let's explore that more, specifically dealing with the subs that we have here, because Tom is not here. We look at EasyHoon, and earlier we spoke about, well, what do you ban against Fake or Lulu LeBlanc, both super, high priority picks for him. EasyHoon, though, his champion pool is just as scary, but in a different way. Do you attack it at all?
Probably not, unless you're with, like, a lot of the champions that Westor has can deal with some of what EasyHoon is bringing out. He plays into Cassiopeia. I'm hoping SKT bans it out this time around. But I want to talk to you guys on the previous point as well. You look at the wins as well, right? Some of the wins that they have had, they're not necessarily in the driver's seat the entire time. They are down by quite a bit in the beginning of the game. You don't just look at the losses of a team and say, oh, this is how you beat them. Well, you got to look at the wins. How are they winning? Did they have a perfect game? More often than not, the answer is no. You have to look at every game and then determine that what the conditions are for you to win.
All right, let's go to the coach then on this one. You've watched the games so far. You've watched their games in their region during their season, but also here. If you had to poke holes at SKT, what would they be?
I think that AHQ actually has the style which kind of exploits SKT's weakness, and especially AHQ won against Fnatic. So I think that they do the right, and it was fire against fire, so it was kind of the same style they were going for. So what I can see is that either way the solo lanes start roaming, and that's effective like Fnatic did it, with Huni going mid lane, and Fnatic was, what are you doing here? Yeah. I never expected this ever to happen. So either way, the solo lanes start roaming, or the jungler do really strong invades into the enemy jungle, where SKT usually feels really vulnerable.
Yeah, I feel like SKT only make moves when they have information, and it's like, that's 100%. They just put it through their calculator, and they're like, all right, this is what we do. And AHQ is like, oh, well, we don't have wards there, but we're going to do it anyway. And then SKT, if they see moves like that, they might be caught off guard and be like, why would you ever do that? You don't have the information to pull that move off, but it works out for AHQ a lot of the time.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us here at the desk. Now, without further ado, let's send it over to the caster booth for our last regularly scheduled group stage match.
Thank you very much, guys. My name is Trevor Quickshot Henry, and I am joined by the delicious Danish dynamo of Martin Deficio Lunga and the pun master himself, David Freaking Turley.
That's a much better intro. Deficio is delicious?
Oh,
I like that.
Yes.
I like
we are about to get into the last regularly scheduled match of the day. Before we do, let's quickly remind you guys of those rosters one last time. In this match, it is AHQ Esports Club on the blue side, with Ziv in the top lane, Mountain in the jungle, Westdoor hopefully playing Fizz in the mid lane, and Albus as the AD carry and support.
And meanwhile, on the red side, it's SK Telecom T1 in the top lane. They've got Marin. In the jungle is Bengi. In the mid lane is EasyHoon. AD carry Bang, and supporting is Wolf.
All right, we'll have to see as we get closer to picks and bans. Deficio, I feel Rek'Sai is going to be a big, hotly contested pick. Bengi is a monster on that champion. What do you think?
So is Mountain. So if SK Telecom does not ban it, I will almost guarantee a first pick coming in from AHQ. So I feel like that should be one of the bans. Take Mountain away from that Rek'Sai. It's too important for AHQ in terms of the early snowball they like to use. And also they play this style where Westor often goes and he split pushes. Having Rek'Sai with her global ulti is so important as well to create a big numbers advantage very, very quickly. So that should be a ban from SK Telecom. Don't risk it being first pick. And then also, I've been looking towards Westor here in terms of bans. I mean, Fizz and Zed has been 2 picks for him, which has been massive. I mean, Zed has obviously been banned all 4 games, but then the fifth, whenever he played it, if you want to stop him from roaming around and having an impact, those are the 2 bans you're looking for.
But also keep in mind this guy is very good at Twisted Fate as well. One of actually my favorite comps of AHQ actually relied on Rek'Sai plus Twisted Fate, and they had a bunch of engage in the bot lane from Sivir and Nautilus as well. So there's a lot of things that you'd have to be really concerned about as you get into picks and bans. Right now, Westor loses his LeBlanc, and EasyHoon loses Cassian.
But Westor is not a big LeBlanc player.
No.
So why on earth do you ban that away? I know, again, you want to target Westor here. You want to remove these assassins. We have to remember EasyHoon. He plays the slow scaling mages a lot more than Faker. So you have that option of getting a few kills on him, and that snowballs into the bottom lane. Because what Westor does in LMS is he gets a few kills, and then he roams to the bottom lane and helps out Anne. This is just purely target him out. The first ban is just completely wasted.
Yeah, it is very strange. I want to see what that third ban actually is, and I'm also honestly surprised at this Nunu ban so far. Banky hasn't done a great job. But no, I understand the Rek'Sai first pick, but sort of the early aggression is what we've seen Banky do as a positive for SKT. I think SKT does need a strong early jungler. Nunu doesn't do a whole lot of that free 6, I feel like. It is a great dragon killer, obviously one of the great things SKT does. TFan comes through. There's the Rek'Sai first pick, as you said, Deficio.
I really feel like SK Telecom is making mistakes in this pick and ban phase. I don't mind the Twisted Fate. It's just the very first ban here. That should have been the Rek'Sai instead. You could see what AHQ were trying to do with banning out Nunu. And also by banning Alistar, they were predicting the Urgot-Alistar combo to come in as a response from SK Telecom. And they obviously want to have a lane that's not too tanky for them to go and tower dive it. Because we have seen Westor and AHQ tower dive again and again and again. Removing Alistar is smart to remove that combo.
The next question we have to ask is, what will Marin be playing? He played that Gnar earlier in the day and yesterday. A fantastic effect with the Urgot locked in. SK Telecom had the pick of top laners available, and they opted into not knowing the likes of Maokai, the likes of Rumble, all these other top lane priorities were available.
But that's the big comfort pick for Marin overall. We've got a couple more lock-ins from AHQ, and you can see they're still trying to make the bot lane ganks happen, right? TP, Maokai, practically brainless. Even I could do it properly. Sivir down to the bot lane as well. Great for making that happen. But because AHQ spends all their time ganking bottom lane, Marin gets to be on a lane bully top laner he's very comfortable with. Still a good TP threat, but a great 1v1 champion. You don't expect it to be disturbed, and you're going to see turret pressure from SKT 1v1.
And also a champion where you have different kind of builds you can go for. If you want to be a bit of a split pusher, we have seen Frozen Mallet into like a Hecarim matchup a few times. We know Hexdrinker is very common if you're against something like an AP mage that can split push against you later on. So with Gnar, you have different kind of builds you can go for to try and counter what Westor will do. Now, obviously, most of these split pushing champions are gone here, and because it's already Maokai, Sivir being locked in from AHQ, then you can't really run the Zed because you have too much physical damage. So it has to be an AP mid laner. Karthus would be my normal guess for Westor, and also for, let's just camp that bottom lane. We have the Karthus ulti, we have our jungler, we have so many ways of killing the bottom lane of SK Telecom.
I actually don't like Karthus a lot here. You're right that he might go for it because he needs AP damage. The Nautilus helps a little bit, but Karthus needs a lot of lockdown, I feel, to make sure that the defile damage actually matters here. If you can't keep him stunned, Karthus dies too fast and SKT gets out.
And that's where Westor has his Rylai's build to help him out in case they don't have a lot of CC. It does 2 things for him. First of all, you can not really kite backwards, or you can kite backwards with it, and you can cut out for your AD carry, or you can use it obviously to close the gap onto SK Telecom. But we're going to have to see if he has all AP choices.
The next question is, what is EasyHoon considering over in SK Telecom? We know Urgot traditionally has been the ultimate, but is he going to go on the de facto? He was solo killing GE Tigers in the LCK finals, something that we not traditionally associate with EasyHoon. We'll see what he decides to lock in. Last few seconds for Westor. He felt he needed AP damage. He's gone above that, and a true damage mid laner. Not something that is naturally associated with Westor.
We have seen him played a few times. Generally, when he needed a blind pick, because Cho'Gath is so safe in their lane, he doesn't really have a whole lot of bad matchups in the mid lane. But it's also a champion that's so hard to carry on, because in order for you to start effectively, like let's say split pushing, you're too immobile. That's never really going to happen for you. You're too easy to catch out in one of these side lanes here, and it's very hard for you to land your combo properly to kill a target on its own. So this is more of a Westor sticks with the team comp, not we're going to 1-3-1 and try and simply put pressure on every single lane at once.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully they still have the Rek'Sai and a teleport top laner to maybe get some of these waves pushed out. AHQ still does have the ability to play the map somewhat. And either way, this team is still focused on the bot lane going well, so Westor being part of the team, not exactly a big problem anyway. Talk about the Azir. I think that is the likely lock in here for SK Telecom T1. And again, I go back to the fact that you talk about the LeBlanc ban not meaning much, the Nunu ban, I think not either. Greg is still very happy for Bengi. He's going to have that early pressure to turn some ganks around.
Yeah, even though it's not a champion we've we've seen him play too often. I'm sure he's been practicing in his scrims. I mean, you're not a professional jungler and only playing Rek'Sai and Nuno. That's a little bit too simple for someone like Bengi. But if you do look at this Azir pick from SK Telecom, what I like against Cho'Gath mid is things that can kite him. And having that ulti from an Azir to knock him back and basically prevent him from ever getting onto target and one-shotting them makes it so hard for Westor in team fights to get close enough. And then who is he gonna ulti outside of the Azir? Because everyone else is gonna be extremely tanky, they're gonna stack some HP, we're gonna have shields coming in. There's not a whole lot of one-shot potential for Westor unless he gets a great start in this mid lane. That could be the way for AHQ though. Shut down mid lane, then start roaming bottom lane.
If there was any other team that was looking to go aggressive early, AHQ, one of the top contenders here at the mid-season invitational. They've got the tools, they've got an early game jungler. They do have a lot of CC in each of their lanes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of pressure on Mountain to get off to a good start. And starting the League of Legends fans young are the audience here in Tallahassee.
Of course. I mean, you know, babies don't need an income to start playing League of Legends. It's thankfully free. So, you know, who better to start playing?
And look how cute Gnar is. I mean, come on, all babies love Gnar.
Annie's around. She's even got a teddy bear, so there's like an
right,
transition.
Let's dial this back. You guys at home, it is the last regularly scheduled game. There are implications for tiebreakers and standings at LOL Esports. Hit us up, hashtag AHQ win or hashtag SKT win. Very briefly, as the analyst desk were alluding to, it is AHQ fighting for the right to challenge first place SK Telecom T1 and force more games if they can pick up a win on the Rift.
So here we go, SK Telecom T1, a win here puts them in first place. They'll face Fnatic first of all, and AHQ will have to do battle with Edward Gaming, or we get 2 more matches. If there is a tiebreaker, EDG has like a massively faster average game time. They'd have a good seed in that, but we'll get to that if it even happens.
But isn't it just amazing that AHQ, we're even talking about the fact they can beat SK Telecom and then tie for this first place? It really shows how good they are and how good LMS as a region has become. The fact that they're up there with the best teams in the world from AHQ side, definitely on the same level as the likes of Fnatic and Team Solomid from what we've seen in this tournament. And that's just great to see that we no longer have to talk about this underdog when it comes to LMS.
Let's be fair, at this tournament, they are performing better than Fnatic and Team Solomid. AHQ definitely come into the game with a great mindset and attitude. Let's touch on the early game. SKT, very deep, but they didn't get the lane ward. But they do have a couple members of AHQ surrounding them.
So the lane ward has been very predictable, and a lot of teams know how to avoid it. You can see the bottom lane from HQ, how they're sitting at the tier 1 tower. That's to avoid that potential lane mode coming in, so you don't see them walking from base and spotting them. That's also why SKT is changing it up a little bit. You're warding on the camps, Raptor Camp, Crooks. Yeah. Those two are warded. That's how you spot them.
And it's smart as well, SKT, you only get 5 trinket wards to start out, so not even showing your opponents where they got put down can help them not make the right choice. AHQ don't necessarily know they're getting spotted going through all of these brushes. And we'll see how they got.
No, Westor's mid lane.
Oh man!
Taya, level 1 is gone.
Jeez. But we are seeing actually some different things going on. Ziv is actually going to take down the Wolves by himself. We're not seeing him help the mid lane at the start. It's not that weird Raptor start. It's a full clear for Ziv, which will give him a small lead against Marn in the 1v1.
Yeah, trying to obviously rush that. He knows it's going to be a tricky matchup into the Gnar. There's not really any kill pressure for Maokai in this sense that he's going to get pushed down by Marin early on. We have to see Marin tends to overextend quite a lot. If Mountain, because he's starting on the bottom side, I think this is what he's trying to scout. He does red buff, then he does the Raptor Camp and does blue, has the double buff at 3 minutes, 20 seconds around that time, and then he goes for the first gank on Marin, where Maokai can lock him down, and if Marin does not early ward, which is something, again, he often forgets, you can get that first block.
Wow, a lot of pressure then on Marin's shoulders to avoid that first early gank in 1 minute to 2 minutes time.
Mountain's too low.
Return to lane with 4 potions and a mana pot, so looking to play the extended lane phase.
But he can always try for the mid lane as well. Easyhoon already pushed under the turret. Westor has landed so far 100% of his ruptures. We've seen mid lane pressure against SKT work before, but Westor now out of mana cannot make that gank happen.
Had to call it 100% Freak, and then he misses it.
Caster curse.
Dude. Definitely your fault.
You're welcome, SKT fans.
Instead of going for Marin top, we see very early focus on the bottom side from Mountain A. We know this is the strategy often from HQ, camp for Ann. He's taking a very different route. Over the wall, he's going in.
Well, he's going to be looking for the knockup. Found Bang gets him up. He's got the red buff ticking. That's a flash forward. But Wolf is going to be able to flay them backwards. Wolf continues to chase back.
Oh!
Sentence! Mountain, look at him! Flash away! And first blood to SKT Wolf!
And look at the play. Top lane first.
And it's going to be Ziv now getting jump down. He does have flash. Pops that gets away from the house, but SKT getting the better of both ganks.
Well, look at Wolf here. He flashed into the tower, then he hooked onto Mountain, so he pulled him into the tower range. Ends up getting the kill. That was a very early gank from a Rex, already down to around was 60% HP when he came in for this, because he did the long route. He did Crooks, Red, and Raptor to drop very low. Bengi also knowing that Mountain was on the bottom side and died, so now there's a free blue buff for him. Great start for SK Telecom.
Fantastic outplay indeed. Wolf returns to lane with the help of Bang. Does land another death sentence onto Albus. No turret aggro yet.
Oh!
The dredge line does not connect with the wall, and Albus is just taking Acid Hunter and auto attacks from Bang in the backside. Great lane control from SKT.
There are still some potions on AHQ, and First Blood or not, SKT burned all their summoners in the escape and lost a lot of health from the dive.
Round 2 in the bottom lane.
Close, exactly, and Rek'Sai's coming in for more.
And we'll see if he can make it work. He gave up a buff last time trying to make this happen, and Minion Wave pushing backwards. He's hanging out in the tri-bush, Deficio.
So there's only a flash for Ann now. Both Mountain and Albus used it on the first gank, and he's setting up for a tower dive. This is so risky, especially now that Bengi's also on the bottom side to come down for a potential counter gank.
But Bengi's going over towards the mid lane. The Rift's coming.
You can't do this.
River
This
pass.
is so scary.
If they push into the turret, they're going to try anyway. Here they go. Knock up on a Bang.
There's the chilling spike. Bang's in trouble. AHQ get one on the board, and it lands in Ann's hands.
So he managed to get the gang off before SK Telecom went back to the tower. That's why it worked for him, but he was waiting in that bush for quite a while. Bengi, meanwhile, has just been farming the jungle. He's been farming Mountain's jungle, to be fair. Meanwhile, because all these ganks happen in the bottom lane, EasyHoon has just been pushing this mid lane over and over. He knows Bengi is around, and Mountain has no way of being near.
And Westor is down 6 minions so far and a little bit of turret pressure overall, but we've seen Westor almost every single game gets behind early on in the lane, and something cool happens later. Once again, Marin and Ziv in about, but as a flashless Maokai, Ziv has to be careful here.
Yeah, keep an eye on all those potions. Ziv has chugged through all of them. I believe he's just got that single one left. Marin playing very aggressive in the lane, and obviously Ziv without flash.
It's going to be okay for Ziv, though. His TP's up in about a minute. He can make a play soon. Albus now looking to make the roam play mid. EasyHoon has flash, though. Oh,
interrupted! He pulls EasyHoon backwards. Here comes Bengi for the counter gank. It's a 3v2. EasyHoon forced to flash. Now Bengi's the one that's in trouble. He flashes in reply. Wolf, does he want the death sentence? I think he does. Gonna throw the wind up, and let's see if it connects. Decides to hold on to it, in fact. And SKT forced to burn flashes.
Marin, though, about to hit level 6. Ziv's got to be real careful. How soon can Mountain get up there? But so much damage taken by the minions means Mega Gnar just kind of get angry for no reason.
So let's slow this down a second.
Yeah.
1-to-1 in kills, 800 gold ahead. Is
Not sure it's time to slow down.
Oh!
See ya! That was easy.
That was a little too easy for Westor. The flash feast and dinner is served. We look down bottom lane. Ann and Albus now in retreat. Wolf and Bang get the teleport in from Marin. The flay into auto attack secures a kill, and Marin's looking for blood. He's going to get an assist on the second one, and SKT with an easy turnaround.
Ziv didn't even choose to teleport there. Too low on mana to do much of anything. Great play there by SKT. Absolutely wonderful there. One of the big trends we've seen in this tournament is teams are so good at abusing summoner spell-less lanes. We saw a great gank from AHQ down the bot lane before. The early gank on EasyHoon, they got a repeat visit from Westor himself, and now this is the same thing.
Yeah, let's see. First, on to Bang It. That's obviously the 2v2 trade with the Urgot and the Thresh. Albus is taking a lot of damage. Then nice hook from Wolf. He's been on fire already in this game. TP coming in. A weird thing is, despite Bang dying to that early gank, it's almost in his favor as an Urgot, because when you trade a lot early on and you 2 AD carries go back to base, Urgot is an AD carry who has very, very cheap items he needs in the start to get quick and small power spikes. Like the tier means he can spam more. Brutalizer is fairly cheap compared to a BF sword in order to get some more damage in, and also he can stack these long swords. Other AD carries like Sivir, they want to get that BF sword on first back, but they're not able to if they have to fight so much early. So it's almost been in favor of Bang, and now, talking about fights, we might not be done yet.
Well, looks like Mountain was able to get away. Not enough support for SKT. A lot of action in the early stages of this game, but it is hurting AHQ's farming. Top lane behind, jungle behind. Oh, mid and AD carry, not sitting even. Ziv gets against the wall in a big knot. Marin and Ziv continue trading back and forth in one of those very exciting tank battles where they swing at one another for years. But it looks like Mountain wants to, once again, return to bottom lane.
Same route for him. He just tunnel over the wall here. Plays it. There's a teleport.
But the flash, they're all up. No ult for Bang, though. Will this be enough with the damage? Because Zip comes in. No TP at all for Morin. On-pulls the aggro first, which means it's going to be a kill, but the Civ is going to be late to the refight. And Zip's going to be real careful. Flash the way. One hit from Dead. 2 kills picked up very cleanly. AHQ juggling aggro right. Bangy's nearby, though.
Well, we'll see if he can get anything. Does have explosive cask, but everyone from AHQ has peeled and back away. AHQ go low, but get themselves 2 kills on the board and set their sights maybe for a dragon. Realize it's too risky.
Smite and Feast are both down. Westor got a Feast onto the Scuttle Crab.
Low too.
Exactly. So it's not worth the risk. They want to get Ziv back into lane, not get him too far behind Marin. Slower but safe approach. I think it's the right choice for AHQ.
And look at what HQ is doing here. They knew the teleport was down for Marin because he used it back down in that 2v2 fight. So that dive was fairly safe, honestly, being 4 members versus 2 only. And also had some decent control around at least the mid lane to spot Eastwood, so he wasn't roaming down as well. So they could go for another dive, and they just keep putting so much focus on trying to shut down Bang and Wolf.
We're about to hit the 10-minute mark, and the action is continuing. Look at the mini-map. There is everybody looking to set themselves up for a mid-lane party. AHQ, arguably with the team that needed to get some sort of lead early, has yet to accrue any control on this match. But as everyone predicted, the parties are in the bottom lane.
And now we can start seeing some trademark warding from SK Telecom. If you look at the minimap around the Dragon, they always invest in ping wards in the river and then fairly defensive around the mid lane. So first of all, secure, they can always sit and farm, but also to open up different routes for Bengi to start either invading into enemy jungle or going down to certain lanes to gank them. This is very important that HQ try and shut it down because they have the Rek'Sai choke-up combo. That 2v2 lane or 2v2 skirmish is so scary. They have to take back control of this river here. They are spotted now. SKT is coming in to stop the Dragon.
Yeah, absolutely massive risk. Albus had to flash away or swap from Bang would have meant him dead. So SKT gets the Dragon. They didn't clear the wards away properly, AHQ. So the primary way SKT wins their games, these Dragons, first one comes in at 10 minutes.
And right there is just why you need to control the bottom side river. If you're playing against SK Telecom, they will spot you trying to sneak Dragons. They know they can safely move down from mid lane to stop you as well because there's no wards to see them. So it's just too easy for them to move around and then punish you if you make a mistake in that river.
Well, we did see Mountain with that very aggressive play. Taking a look around maps for the time being. Minion's actually going to secure the bottom lane tower in favor of AHQ thanks to that dive from very early on. Albus and Ann maybe feeling confident that there's no vision here for SKT.
That's a bit tricky in the bot lane. Yeah, it looks like SKT not willing to push through to the fog of war, but top lane is going to be an option. Marin, half health, no rage, does have flash.
Well, let's see if he can get away. Mountain looking for the knock-up. He's going to interrupt the hop. Guys have that red buff ticking away. Mara's in trouble. He chomps down, but it's not enough. Mountain looking for more. The minions will block any prey seekers as Bengi moves his way up top for support. With Wolf coming in to help, we might see another fight. Look for the death sentence. The lantern goes in, not even needed. Mountain's trying to get away.
And he's going to have to flash over the wall, but thankfully it's already, the flash is gone for the rest of SKT. No chase available. AHQ gets away off of a very aggressive jungle path.
Very strange miscommunication here from them. You saw the lantern was there for Bengi to take, but he flashed a wall instead. So kind of wasted his summoner.
He was trying to body slam flash to knock him around and missed
Most likely, yeah, but then the lantern was just a bit wasted. Oh,
yeah.
Sound went the wrong way. Is he still going to go in? Ziv and Albus now.
A lot of people here. He has the AD carry.
On the hunt. They've locked Marin down there. And once again pulls turret aggro. Dredgeline pulls Bengi backwards. Westor looks to feast. And that gets 2 more kills for AHQ, but at what cost? Easy Hoons on the mid lane, the rest of AHQ in the top lane.
Easy can keep pushing here. Yes, Thresh behind him with the lantern, but AHQ, they just keep roaming around. They will never allow SK Telecom to just sit and farm. They want to keep forcing.
I think there's a good chance for AHQ to take top lane tier 2, and in that case, those 2 turrets for 2 turrets is absolutely worth it. Westor's already here to hold the mid lane. Nothing else done there. Bang might not even, no, he will finish his bot lane here. Doesn't look like he's going to get stopped. Mountain's going to make a try for it.
Going to be able to defend it this time round. AHQ 2 towers to 1 with a small gold lead and double the kills. Crucially, 2-1-2 on Siva. We'll see if that mobility helps AHQ get past that disengage of SKT.
Yeah, you know it's been a good early game for AHQ when the AD carry gets the kills, because they always do this just to get Ann fed, and then in team fights, they protect him so well, and it's really hard for SKT, if you look at that composition, in getting to that AD carry once QSS is completed for Ann. That's going to be the key one, otherwise the Urgot is just going to flash swap him, and you're just going to destroy him in the middle of your own team. He needs that QSS later on, and then suddenly SKT it's going to be more about for them trying to kite backwards with Azir Urgot, get a bit of damage, get some consistent damage, I guess we can call it, and then try and always avoid the Cho'Gath one-shot.
But honestly, SKT fighting back is absolutely fine. Like, AHQ has to go so hard to start any fights. Most of their engage requires their body, so the fallback pattern fine for SKT.
And that's also why we see Righteous Glory coming in instantly for the Maokai. We have seen Catalyst into like Shroud and so on, where you delayed Righteous Glory because you want a bit more tanky stats. Here, it's about AHQ constantly forcing fights and getting onto this Azir, getting onto the Urgot for SKT, because that's one thing Cho'Gath can do. It doesn't matter that Urgot stacks 250 armor. You're just going to one-shot him anyway with the true damage. It's about the shield from him. That's going to be the tricky one for Westor.
We'll see if Westor can figure out how to get past the trick. This is a guy who has really stepped up from game to game here at the Mid-Season Invitational, and he's arguably the most famous player of AHQ, but he was not the hard carry in their regional playoffs. Anne had a fantastic performance. We'll get to that point in a second as Ziv and Marin are trading up here in the top lane. This might turn out to be a big fight. Marin might go Mega Gnar. He's about to transform.
And he's got reinforcements coming as well. Ziv could not possibly hope to get this kill, but there's 2 more of SKT coming up here. Easyhu in the first in. Ziv playing aggressively without anyone nearby him at all. In comes the slow. In comes Bengi as well. Knocks him back into the wall to be safe. But of course, the rest exactly of AHQ is ready to push on in. Mid lane Outer Turk going to be taking some damage. Bot lane tier 2 also getting hit.
But if AHQ don't get an objective, they've given up a kill for nothing. We'll have to take a look at that middle lane as the rest of HQ have backed away. And Anne, target of at least one Acid Hunter, forced to spell shield the second.
I feel like SK Telecom overcommitted a bit in that top lane. You could just send up Bengi. That should have been fine in a 2v1. Keep Easyhu in that mid lane because you really want to keep your outer turrets alive when you're against so much engage from AHQ. Once this map opens up and the tower starts dying, that's why you won't have anywhere to farm because they can always just pop Sivir ult in Righteous Glory and engage onto you. So you need to keep these outer turrets for as long as possible. Therefore, Easyhu cannot leave his lane. He has to sit there, constantly wave clear. And then, of course, Dragon in about a minute's time. First one went over to SKT because HQ tried to start it without clearing any wards.
Well, let's take a step back. We're 15 minutes into the game. We're about as even as you can get when it comes to gold, kills, and towers. This is one of the closer games that we have seen throughout the last 15. And that bodes relatively well for AHQ. But at what point does SKT scaling start to overpower AHQ in this match?
It'll be a long time, man. Looking for a pick here on the Wolf. Picks like this are always going to be a big deal. Forces a flash, but Sivir will be down for Dragon. I don't know if AHQ could reliably 5v5 without that ultimate.
Oh, that is a big one for them with the Sivir. Obviously not going to affect the damage a whole lot with the Righteous Glory, but it's also the fact that you're trying to get vision control. We've already seen a few pink walls being placed. They cleared the ones before, but now they're giving up completely just by popping that ulti from Anne. Everyone decides to back away. This suddenly opens up now for second Dragon to go over way too easy to SK Telecom because they're starting to place down their own wards. They're going to spot HQ if they try to walk in and start a fight.
I want to see Ziv clear that wave top and join in mid. Good battle for the mid lane wave and take that for the Dragon.
When you have a Z as well around these dragons here and you decide to fight, you can sit around these choke points and always stop people from coming with your ulti. The two tanks trying to fight it out. What Ziv is trying to do is force Mega Gnar for Marin, so like deal some damage to him, get him to pop the Mega Gnar, and then suddenly HQ can start a fight with Maokai teleporting down and only a mini Gnar coming.
And look at the vision clear from HQ in the river. Anne's on the hunt is getting closer and closer to being available. 2/3 of the cooldown has begun to be refreshed. AHQ push middle.
Marin gets home guards now as well once he goes back, so he will try and join. At least there it is completed for him. He just doesn't have any rage at the moment. That's why AHQ is suddenly feeling confident once again.
But AHQ Sweeper is the last one. Oh, it barely misses the ward, so the ward control gonna be here for SKT. No pinks in the inventory. We saw what happened last time AHQ did Dragon face of a ward. Went badly.
I'd like to see SKT honestly push up this mid lane here, put up the tower from their Azir if they can, and try and fight around that near the tier 1 that's already dead from AHQ, because that's a good way to create a bit of a block from HQ and just sit and try and poke them out. If you do manage to get some good poke down, then you start the Dragon. It will also mean that HQ can just sit around the bottom side of the map because they have to respect the pressure you put in the mid lane.
Well, we've been dancing around this Dragon for an incredibly extended period of time. Neither team able to commit because of obviously Mega Gnar as well as on the hunt. But AHQ now have better positioning but they are fully spotted by a ward, much like the previous Dragon attempt that Mountain started.
And every single cooldown is up except for Wolf's Flash. AHQ managed to wait. Actually, sorry, Ann is missing his as well. So one summoner missing on both sides. All these teams fighting with every possible cooldown here. Essentially, Westor hasn't backed in a while, though. I think he's sitting on a lot of money, whereas EasyHoon is a little bit more recently shopped. Item breakpoints like this can actually be a really huge deal.
And Albus just went back to base. Meanwhile, Westor, he was over near his own blue buff. SKT, they knew he was gone from the mid lane, saw where he was moving, and they instantly start the Dragon. This is one of the reasons purple side is so good for SK Telecom, because when you have these early Dragons, you can play around when the enemy mid laner try and go and take a blue buff, because that's obviously on the opposite side of the map, and that's exactly what they did right here. Let's see what happens mid, though.
Well, EasyHoon does pop the barrier relatively early, looking for some fights, gets a lot of soldiers auto attacks down, and Westor held onto both Feast and Ignite. Got the Summoner spell, but it defended the tower.
Yeah, I mean, he pulled turret aggro by attacking the poor guy, so that's kind of what happens when you pull turret aggro and face a bunch of slows and the chance of some knockbacks and whatnot. So AHQ managed to not get anything for the Dragon take of SKT the second time really in a row. The AHQ hasn't managed to play the map quite. Bot lane outer turret's gone, and with SKT focusing the bot side of the map, Tier 2's not going down, and EasyHoon doing a great job of holding on to mid outer for now.
Just saw Mountain there stealing away that blue buff. Cheeky little play against EasyHoon's Azir in the middle lane. Ooh, that was close. Dredgeline almost connecting, but this one will connect. Marin about to go Mega Gnar, looking to cut down the tree of Ziv. It's going to land the crunch. Actually gets interrupted by the Twisted Advance. The tank battle, it's very exciting as they trade back and forth. I'm like, where do I go with this? Where do I go with this? But yeah, 20 minutes on the clock, 800 gold in the lead. AHQ still 2 towers to 1. We could be in for a longer period game. SKT still only 2 dragons towards that eventual aspect of the dragon. And number 5.
Yeah, it's not going to be a quick one for them, that's for sure. They still have, of course, the clock ticking towards it, one of their ways. They really like to play the game. EasyHoon, he's going to be the poke master here for SK Telecom. Luden's Echo for him as a second item. So just trying to get as much poke damage as possible for himself. Obviously, his entire combo he's going to do. A death cap would have been better for overall damage, but if you can manage to single out one target with a few seconds in between, long-range poke, when you sit back and you kite back, that's where the Luden's Echo can shine, and it adds some extra wave clear for him as well.
Yeah. Honestly, SKT looking very good in this game. They're nursing this 1,000 gold deficit, and yet they've continually picked up the Dragons in time. Top lane outer was dead. Marin would be available for getting ganked, but the ward cover does never let AHQ pressure that lane.
Right, I think we can say SKT has looked good in terms of Dragon control, but when it comes to making plays on the map, AHQ has been very, very active. This mid tower is just a few hits from Ann and it's gone, and then suddenly the entire map is open to invade into the jungle.
It's been a few hits from Gone for the last 6 minutes, successfully defended twice.
Just keep in mind, if you look at the come from AHQ, while they want to force fights now, while they want to try and snowball the lead, every single DPS champion they have needs 2 items to be super, super effective. We also need level 11 on the Cho'Gath before you get enough damage on your feast to start one-shotting targets. Sivir is almost getting a Phantom Dancer, so it's not a bad thing that you wait for 2 item spikes on both Cho'Gath and Sivir before you really go hard on these fights, and it's also what they're trying to do here at HQ. Now they got this mid tower, and the fight is starting.
Flame from Gnar coming in, Albus almost going down, EasyHoon down to half, but out goes the rest of the team. Gragas into the fray as well, swap in towards Amba, interrupted Westor, lands in silence, Bang's gonna get shut down, headshot comes through, there's the kill picked up, Mountain forced to run, but EasyHoon summons the turret, the fight continuing for SKT, they want blood back.
We do see the Virtual Maelstrom jumping in for more kills. AHQ currently 1 for 3. Need to deal with the Azir passive, and they will have the numbers to do so. A team fight victory after SKT started it. Now they turn their attention to Marin with a minion wave barreling down the middle lane, and they set their sights on the inner turrets.
We're going to get mid lane tier 2 as well, so 2 turrets and +2 kills picked up. AHQ in a definitive lead in the mid game.
We just talked about how AHQ, they wanted to wait for some items completed before they started forcing 2 items for Westor. And bang, he cannot swap himself into the Cho'Gath because he's gonna get killed so easily. He put himself in such a bad situation. And SK Telecom's comp, they want to kite back. They don't want to hard engage onto AHQ. That's not the way you play against a Cho'Gath. He's just gonna kill you.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah, TP flank came in. Ziv was there in time, slicing Maelstrom, absorbed everything. And you mentioned Easy Hoon's build. Oh, it's poke-based. He wants to get damage down early on to the actual DPS of the fight. Not nearly as good. A bunch of early chunk on Albus, but he's not, like, it's not enough damage.
You can see how Easy Hoon is trying to push him away and not push him further back. But now, with Bang also sitting in the middle, first of all, he's trying to swap, then gets interrupted, but he's still stuck now. In the front, he's not tanky enough at all. And SK Telecom, their entire composition is now just breaking apart because suddenly they get stuck in the fight itself. Easy with the loot and Zeko, he needs more time to do proper poke damage, and he's so squishy with this build.
Oh, we did see SKT while the replay was on securing another tower. That's their third of the game. Found themselves 3,000 gold down, but it's AHQ with the definitive aggressive plays. Reminds you of home at all, Fisher?
It's not really Danish music.
I kind of meant where you live now, right? And on the hunt, looking for Maren. Albus does have the ability to throw the mine down. Dredge line out in a second, keeps Maren in place.
Even the best players in the world will flash into the wall from time to time.
That just seems silly in the first place. Like, that guy was going to get caught for sure, but SKT now starting to lose some kills around the map, and you mentioned Officio, outer turrets going down, opens the map for AHQ to make all these plays. They've got 2 teleports, they've got a Righteous Glory and a Sivir ultimate. Open map is perfect for these guys.
And suddenly, because again, you can start getting a few wards into the jungle, you can start things like Baron. No teleport for Maren, he's dead for another 15 seconds. AHQ are looking very good if they commit to this.
Well, we'll see if they can. There's a lot of poke going down onto the AHQ members. Baron, 2,000 HP. SKT have stuck themselves around. AHQ
now disengage.
24.5 minutes. They've engaged.
They go in. Okay.
He's taking him down. Now
it's risky.
We did see the knockup on Easy Hoon, but Weshko goes down. The rest of HQ in retreat.
And it's still a chase in for SKT. Terror Capacitor just now picked up. That's a slow on to Ziv. They could probably chain him down. Summoner spells back. There's a knock on in. That's going to be 2 kills picked up. For 1, but Baron's still on the rest of AHQ.
Yeah, they got the Baron, still worth it for them. They have to worry about these Dragons. 3 coming in now for SK Telecom with this one. Very hard though, once you get that Baron to run away, because we saw SKT were already in position. At least they tried after they went in first one, like, oh, we don't really want to go in here.
And I thought AHQ was making a beeline for it. Baron empowered recalls run across the map. Azir's still top lane. Thresh was dead, but it looks like no contest. SKT will get Dragon 3. That extra movement speed will help the rotations. This open map is going to be important for them.
And very important for the disengaged style team fights they want to be playing. If SKT can ever find themselves in that scenario. A big CS advantage for Maren, as well as Easy Hoon. That is somewhat equaled out by Anne's power. 5-1-4, and a very strong 30 CS advantage, all leading AHQ strong gold lead.
And enough people are going to be here to defend mid lane tier 2, but remember, this is now 2 minutes of Baron buff for AHQ, and the wave clear of SKT is basically just Easy Hoon. AHQ, I feel like, should be able to pick up 1 or maybe both of the remaining tier 2 turrets off the rest of this buff.
Yeah, we need to see AHQ make it a bit easier for themselves though, and start upgrading some of these trinkets here. You want to get those sweepers upgrades so you can really start denying vision from SKT, and obviously Civ at this point. It's 250 gold, man, and it's one of the most gold efficient items in the entire game. Upgrade that totem here. Start playing around the vision where you take over the jungle completely from SK Telecom. Because when you run kite compositions, if you ever have to face check into someone, you will die instantly. You have to control the area when you fight.
Yeah, kites need to be up in the air, flying high if you're at ground level. Wind doesn't seem to do very well for them. Ziv just now gets teleport back. AHQ is playing defensively for the last minute because they could get 5v4'd and there's just enough engage that it'd be scary. But now it's up. Both global teleports for AHQ. The 1-3-1 for the next minute should still get some turret pressure.
And let's just remind everyone, if AHQ beats SK Telecom, we will have a tiebreaker between SKT, AHQ, and EDG for first place. All the teams are already guaranteed being in the playoffs, together with Fnatic, who obviously won before. Go Europe.
Let's see how this match plays out. AHQ still in the lead, but have been unable to crack those inner turrets that we were expecting they would do. Baron buff has worn off, and Ziv sidestep the chimney that Maren's throwing his way. SKT able to defend.
Dude, Ziv is so impressive to me, though. This is the 4th in a row time I've seen him twisted advance under the Gnar W smash. He just never takes that skill shot. It's honestly very impressive to see Ziv play.
So, if you look at the entire map here for AHQ and what they want to do, they're currently trying to push 3 lanes at once. That is so hard to pull off, especially when you don't really have a whole lot of spec pushers. I mean, Maokai with Teleport is the guy sitting in side lane, and then you send your Sivir around. Focus on 2 lanes at once. In this case here, control the bottom side of the map, because you want to be ready for Dragon when it spawns again to stop this potential 5th Dragon from SK Telecom. And then just push in mid and bottom lane. Whenever it hits the tower, if you see 4 members from SK Telecom, well, then you rotate through the jungle into another lane, and you take the minion wave there, and you just slowly push it up 1 lane at a time, and then you always try and get a few hits on the tower, or you punish SKT if they ever try and go out and fight you.
Oh, huge risk for Mountain.
So much trouble.
And Martin's in the same dire straits right here. Silence comes in, can't turn into Big Gnar. That's the kill picked up, and of course Rek'Sai dies the same moment, but an ulti onto Bang. He is alone right now. A big bounce house for AHQ, and Bang will indeed go down. A 2-for-1 with the turret ready to die.
AHQ should be able to take this one out as Wolf is unable to get in. Westall jumps onto Bengi. He does get it with the Feral Scream, then turns his attention to Wolf. That's 4 members of SK Telecom down. The number 4 team from the regular season of the LMS, sweeping their playoffs, showing up in their final game of the group stage here at MSI against the number 1 team from Korea.
And I am having flashbacks to Season 2, guys. No one believed Taipei Assassins would be any good either. And Season 3 and Season 4 weren't so great for the region overall, but look at this. The LMS, the Taiwanese teams, refuse to say die. And they're back in looking in super top form here. AHQ leading the charge to all the fans over there.
Yeah, and definitely, Deficio, we were talking about how a Cho'Gath would find the right targets. Westall is finding the target.
Yeah. And he's pretty happy that SK Telecom is taking the fights and walking into him. So he's just like, okay, who do I want to feast today? Is that an Urgot? Is that an Azir? We'll go for it. First of all here, Mountain is trying to duel Bang a little bit. It ends up being caught out, but it's 3 versus 1. So on the bottom side of the map, AHQ know they can just keep fighting here. This tower is suddenly open for them, going for the dive onto Bang, and just trying to clean up. And in the very end as well for Westor, he finds the target on the Gragas. And everyone loves some German sausage.
And as soon as Rupture goes in, AHQ all on the same page. Chunk them down, 1 and 2 more picked up. AHQ, the relentless aggression is working. And you know, I said before, they've got to initiate with their bodies, but looks like AHQ were able to just fish for these engages with Rupture, and it works.
Double Righteous Glory.
Yep.
Sivir ulti. You cannot get any more speeds of maybe a Talisman coming in as well. And then suddenly you have every way possible where you don't really want to sell your face at the mountain if you're Nautilus. I'm just saying if you want more speed up,
have Mountain build.
The point is, there are so many ways for them to get onto SK Telecom, and as long as SK Telecom moves away from towers, it's gonna happen.
Well, there is one caveat that we have to mention. Dragon in 45 seconds, SKT have secured the last 3. You'd like to think, with all of those engaged tools, that AHQ will not give up another one. However, the Dragon control this game has been lacking.
We did see them stay around the bottom side though before, so they would keep the wards in the jungle here near this blue buff of SK Telecom. They had the time on everything, so they should be ready for this Dragon to spawn. And the perfect thing for HQ is they can take it, and then they can swap all the focus on the top side near the Baron next time, because also the tier 2 tower is alive on the top lane. And that's very easy for them there to decide, where do we go, where's our next objective, once we make sure we stop SK Telecom from getting 4 dragons.
Well, we'll see if SK Telecom even wants to give away that 4th dragon. They've done a great job keeping wards up, but here comes the engage. AHQ wants in.
And he's going to try find Wolf. Wolf knocked up. We do see the boomerang blade going by, but AHQ now on the retreat. On the hunt used as Dragon has spawned. SKT smelling blood in the water. Can they find the fight that will bring them back into this game? Now Westo, a giant man there, and forced a retreat. That's a massive knocker from the Rupture, and gets a godlike kill onto Bang as Marin is trying to zone him away. And got the face of the mountain shield, and he survives. In the backline is the re-engage, and SKT put up the wall.
And the wall's gonna give him a lot of time to start chunking down these tanks. Mountain and Ziv trying to chase down barrier in from Easy in the Lantern that he cannot quite reach. Down he goes as well. 2 kills picked up, and that is gonna be a dragon secure for AHQ if they want it.
AHQ are trying to do what Fnatic could not. They have got a strong lead, a strong gold advantage, but nobody saw to that dragon just yet.
They're going to split the effort right here. I think very smart for AHQ. A bit of pressure in the mid lane. They're going to see who sticks there to defend it, and the other guy's going to go take down this dragon.
Yeah.
So number 4 is denied for now. SKT, that bomb's been defused.
Now AHQ needs to make sure they don't all recall at the same time and give Fnatic, or SKT, sorry, just a small chance of rushing a Baron, because that's we're getting to the point where SKT has to make some extremely risky moves to get back in the game, because AHQ are still going to be stronger for a long time just by having this item advantage and the fact they can always engage on SK Telecom.
Yeah, and something else that we have to step back and also touch on. AHQ had that phenomenal playoff run. They went 9-1, you know, 4th seed beating 3rd, 2nd, 1st. But one thing that stood out is across all those games, they only secured 45% of the Barons. And we'll finish that point in a moment as Mountain scares Marin away. The point I want to highlight, they had a smart Baron play earlier, and we'll see if they're going to lose this one now.
Well, it's going to be a smart Baron play by SK Telecom T1. They're saying, okay, our way back in is to rush down the Baron when the rest of your team's on the wrong side of the map. It's losing health rapidly. It is going to be picked up by SKT, and will there be an ensuing team fight?
It will be most certainly, Freak. We're still looking for a target. Easyhoon and Bengi caught in the pit. Emperor's Divide will keep them alive for a few moments longer, but it's Marin that's gone down and secures yet another kill. Bengi knocked up for 10 million years as it's a double kill for Ann Siver. SK2 get Baron, lose 2, and now have to defend for 35 seconds.
The resulting 5v3 should be enough time for AHQ to take something very meaningful. Or maybe not. Looks like they are not willing to play this game risky at all. 30-second death timers, not enough to make AHQ push into the base.
We did just talk about how SK Telecom had to make a risky play, and they did, because suddenly 3 guys were on the bottom side chasing Marin on this Gnar here. So AHQ, with a few mistakes here, 34 minutes in, still been playing such a fantastic game overall, and I love the way they just challenge SK Telecom and say, you're not gonna get to sit and just go get 5 dragons easily. We keep forcing fights. Analyst Desk was talking about how we need to see teleports from the top lane, we'd see Mountain being active on the map, and he was. This Rek'Sai had so many ganks in the early game. You can then discuss, okay, how many of them worked, but just the fact he applies so much pressure on the map is a big deal for AHQ.
Ladies and gentlemen, at 35 minutes, AHQ have to fend off that Baron, but they are looking poised to give SKT their first loss in the group stage that would set us up for tie-breaker matches, as there would be a 3-way tie for first. But that all-important Nexus has to fall, and it's taken AHQ an incredible amount of time just to break the inner ring of turrets from SKT. How much longer will it take to get all the way to the Nexus?
Well, this is where Easyhoon and his build becomes super annoying, because he has that extra wave clear and he just sits there and he just constantly kills them. But AHQ are tanky enough and has enough single target lockdown in terms of like Maokai and Nautilus, and then maybe a feast from a Cho'Gath to just dive on SK Telecom. If they ever see a chance where Marin is stuck in one of the side lanes, you can just dive, bang, Easyhoon, blow them up instantly, and that's a way simply to open it up. Otherwise, if you just sit and let them wave clear, SKT can keep buying time.
But SKT buying time isn't maybe the worst thing in the world for AHQ, because there's still a Baron buff ticking on 3 of these guys. One of them being Easyhoon, who's pretty threatening. AHQ actually being pushed out of the base. Ooh, good dodge to the hook. SKT still really want this fight right now.
It looks like they want to engage. Look at the teleports on the back line. Ziv, can he find a priority target? Bang's already been knocked up, and Wolf is the first one that's gone low. Who will be the first victim of the fight, as Bengi is trying to zone away Ann, doing a good job.
Easyhoon!
Got Easyhoon's help. They've traded 1 for 1, but it's top laner versus AD carry. Bang, landing Acid Hunters onto Ziv, as it looks like AHQ are peeling away. The 1-for-1 trade stops the aggression.
And there's no persistent damage left by AHQ. It's a miracle they got the kill that they did. SKT playing that fight really well, isolating and taking down the only real carry force for team fights, that 10-1 Sivir. SKT unable to get any more cleanup, though.
Yeah, we just saw Ann coming from the middle, and that's why SK Telecom wanted to fight, because AHQ split up. There were 3 guys top. Ann was sitting mid lane, and then bottom lane, of course, Maokai with the TP. So once he joined the fight, he was a flanking AD carry, which obviously does not work too well. Also why they could target him and single him out. As long as AHQ have that AD carry with the tanks, it shouldn't be that easy, because QSS, as we talked about a lot earlier in this game, is completed. So Bang won't be able to swap into him and like just zone him out.
Well, as we go on to the next few minutes of this game, it's 1:30 on Dragon, and SKT in a 4-on-4, now a 5-on-5 as the players respawn. My question is, who gets the ward control? SKT, for being 10,000 gold down, have done an incredible job of finding ways to get vision back down to the map and not rolling over. Many lesser teams would have already lost the game by now. We can watch that team fight again.
Yeah, so basically look at the minimap. You can see how Sivir is running from the mid lane. So once Anne joins the fight, SK Telecom can basically target him instantly, and there's no tanks to really protect him. So Easyun also sees a way where he can finally jump in aggressive and just curving his soldier around. He's flying in the air, then he moves the soldier closer and gets onto him. As long as Anne stays with the tanks, Easyun won't be able to make that play because there's no hourglass. He's not even building it. So he will go down very, very fast if he jumps in the middle of
Massive
HQ.
engage here in the mid lane, cost Mountain and Westor their flashes, and Marin forced to hop away. He's going to crunch Anne against the wall, reducing Anne, use that QSS in retreat. Marin maybe the first victim, but he... Oh! The crit's not enough to get the kill. A dredge line does pull Bang back into the fight, and with no QSS, Anne was swapped. We'll need to take a look at the main fight as Ziv is pulling the aggro of the entire SKT team. Mountain's low but not dead yet. Wolf with another lantern, saving himself this time. It's 2 kills to SKT, as SKT are not dead. They got Mountain, they got Anne, and they're gonna get away.
Oh, that's a gigantic rupture. You saw how low the health bars got of SKT playing that fight nearly perfectly. It's still only a +1 fight though, and AHQ have the health bars to just take Dragon.
They do indeed. Once again, AHQ being caught out a little bit. They're never really staying together as a team. The first stun from Marin onto Anne, pop the QSS, so then Bang will suddenly swap in and take him down. And also, can we just enjoy Easyhoon in these fights on this Azir? The way he stays in the back, he kites backward on his own, and it deals so much damage. Ryla is completed just to add some more CC. This does mean, again, there's no hourglass. If he gets locked down by Westor, then he dies instantly, and SKT lose the fight.
And it looks like just the 4-on-3 is enough for SKT to go and pick up Dragon number 4. AHQ, again, taking the more conservative approach every time. Health bars or not, AHQ playing a much slower game and starting to bite them as SKT getting the way back in on this.
It's been a 10,000 gold lead for around 10 minutes in this game, and AHQ's controlled style, despite all of the engage, despite all of the tools to start fights, have not started all that many. And it's given SKT time to farm themselves back in, but keep in mind they are still low. We are going to see the hype of the kinetic position reversal.
What's going on, guys?
I don't know.
What's going on here? AHQ, after doing so well where they ran around as a team and forced fights on SK Telecom, the last 5 minutes have just constantly being split up and therefore being caught up by SK Telecom. We don't get to see them just played fairly slow, take control of one jungle at a time where you run in as a unit. And you can always engage on SK Telecom as long as you stay together. You get up that vision control, and you deny these picks from happening. Instead, now Westor
gets knocked in. Bengi chopped down to half HP, but Bang's here to put in some damage. Easyhoon joins the fray as well. This is a 5v4. Marin gets caught up with the mid laner. Drops as well. That's Westor dead, and the fight continues. And down to half. Easyhoon crushing absolutely everybody. Bang gets the kill credit. Knocks more back in. An absolute slaughter in favor of SKT.
And it's an ace. AHQ are down after 40 minutes of hope. SKT look to gain control of the match. They're on the inhibitor turrets, and they're looking for more.
Step aside, Faker. Easyhoon, he's in town, and he's playing so well on this Azir. They can finish the game. They're still 4K behind. SK Telecom punishing AHQ for bad positioning on the map for the last 5 minutes, and they're the #1 seed now.
What an incredible turnaround. SK Telecom take AHQ down from a 10,000 gold deficit. Undefeated in the group stages at MSI.
And SKT sure know how to put on a show. I mean, the same thing happened up against Fnatic. A great early game aggressive team could certainly give the Koreans a few knocks. But strategic play, the fortitude, the mental and physical fortitude to stick in these games and play them right was absolutely here. SKT making a massive comeback in this one.
We definitely see the way to play against SK Telecom in the early game. We've seen both Fnatic and now AHQ do it. Two teams who have somewhat the same play style. And while AHQ didn't manage to finish out the game, much like Fnatic, we just have to praise them anyway for saying such a well-played early to mid-game from them. Again, they're coming in from the LMS region. They have shown they are a legit top team in international competition.
What a heartbreaking turn of events. AHQ on the verge of challenging for first, slips away. Now, let's be fair, they are still in the playoffs. They're still in the bracket.
Yeah.
And considering the increase in level over the course of games, this has to be one of the contenders to maybe pick up a victory. They are showing such great levels.
You know, it's just AHQ doing the same storyline from the LMS playoffs. You know, they lost, for the most part, to the teams that they played in the playoffs during the regular season. All right, we'll lose to you guys in the group stages. AHQ going to make the comeback story happen in the playoffs here. Maybe that's in their minds. Certainly some things to improve, though, in their late game.
Well, we'll have to find out if they can. That wraps it up here for us on the caster booth. We're going to throw it over to the analyst desk to close out the day.
Thank you, guys, and we were so close to bonus
game.
It was a great fight by AHQ, but I do want to jump directly into our replay. It is this final fight, and Spawn, I'm throwing it to you because I think it's worthwhile to look at how SKT took advantage of their man advantage on the map.
Yeah, and exactly how they got there. So if we pull it up, SKT, as soon as you make that first mistake, are going to jump on top of it. And exactly that happened. Albus went into the red buff, tried to get some vision for himself, and was completely deleted off the map. So if
let's pull that up, please.
Yeah, so if we grab the replay. So the whole lead up to this, the other frustrating thing about this game for Westor, he is so fed. He's a 6-item, 6-stack, level 18 Shogath. He's like, if I am actually allowed into the fight, I will delete anyone. And you see, he tries to get Wolf there. Instead, the rest of his team gets him. They really commit to it and keep him in the middle of the team fight. And right here, if we freeze it out, you look at how much they're willing to spend just killing Westor. At the end of the day, that is 4 members taking out the biggest threat on their team, and only mine taking everyone up. So if we keep rolling this one out, you see the rest of AHQ trying to take down mine. He's that tanky, and from here, EasyHoon just cleans up.
Oh, yeah, it's a beautiful wall, too, here that we're about to see by EasyHoon, pushing the last couple members back into the team.
EasyHoon just overall having an amazing performance, I think, on this Alzir.
He got him during a tunnel, too.
Yeah, heartbreaking. And to be honest, you know, it is a heartbreaking way to lose that game there for AHQ, having been in such great position and picking some pretty stellar fights.
What was Albus doing?
To be caught out exactly and create that 4v5 to begin with.
You know, going into the game, we thought it could be a close game just from the way that AHQ had been playing, and it was. For the very beginning, it was very close, and then AHQ started building on the gold lead. But I think they just got a little bit too antsy and didn't really focus as to what their team composition needs to do versus a heavy wave clear such as Azir. The 4th Dragon, when they got a nice kill in the mid lane, instead of prioritizing the turrets, you kill Azir, that's the go. You need to go for a tower now because it's the only chance you're going to go for that. They choose to go for a dragon and then another in near tower, I think. Like, you can't do that versus a high wave clear composition. Also, when you have such a good lead, their ward control, the vision denial that they had was not good at all. If you don't have ping cores, if you don't have your sweepers being used effectively, the enemy is going to see all your rotations, making it that much harder to get wave clear. You need to be looking for the places that Azir is not it. The only wave clear is Azir. Just go to the lane where he's not, and you can get a tower. But without the vision denial, you're not going to get it done.
I think that in this point, the wave clear was relatively important, but I think AHQ played the map actually really well. They had a high tempo, and that actually see in the bot lane tower dives, which were really, really strong, where the jungler just couldn't keep up, and they executed so crisp. And what that leads to is both teams have those really crisp executions from their strategic play. So what you see on the map is they get a kill on the one side for SKT, and on the other side you see EDG pick up a kill. And that is just both teams, instead of trying to go back and defend, both go aggressive and get the kills.
We'll go back into the early game play from AHQ. We do have an interview ready before we look at the semifinals. Let's set up the stage for it. We're going to send it over to Shox, who's joined by one of SKT's winning players.
Thanks so much, Dash. I'm joined here by Marin after that victory by SKT and locking in the first place going into the playoffs. Yet AHQ put up quite a fight. What do you think happened that it turned out to be a pretty close game, Marin?
그 HQ랑 되게 그 치열한 경기를 했어요. 어떻게 된 건가요?
그냥 제가 초반에 좀 많이 못해서 경기가 길게 이어졌던 것 같고, 그래도 이제 후반에 팀원적으로 팀워크가 맞아서 이제 한타 쉽게 해서 이겼던 것 같아요.
I think I made a lot of mistakes during the early game, but during the mid and late game, our teamwork got better and our team started to work together, and we managed to pull off a victory.
Absolutely did. It was also quite a close game versus Fnatic before, and you'll be facing them in the semifinals tomorrow. Huni said that he's confident that they might be able to take it. What are you feeling about that matchup?
그 오늘 푸나틱과의 경기도 되게 이제 좀 힘든 경기를 하셨는데 내일 4강전에서 다시 붙게 됩니다. 그 아까 훈이 선수가 인터뷰 때 다시 붙게 되면 이길 자신 있다고 말씀하셨는데 그거에 대해 어떻게 생각하시나요?
저도 훈이 선수랑 해서 좀 안 좋은 결과를 만들어서 이제 다시 만나면 이제 이겨줄 생각하고 있었는데 왠지 제가 이길 것 같습니다.
I also had an unsatisfying match against Huni during earlier today, so I'm ready for the rematch, and I think I can beat him next time.
Think you can beat him. If you do manage to beat him, that means you guys would make it to the final versus EDG of NA or HQ. After seeing all those teams play and having played against them, who do you think might make it out of semifinals of those two?
그래서 마린 선수가 말씀하신 대로 이제 훈이 선수를 이기면 결승전에 올라갈 텐데요. 결승전에는 이제 HQ와 EDG 승자가 올라갈 텐데 오늘 경기를 다 보시면 좀 누가 올라올 것 같나요? 결승전에.
왠지 코로 선수가 올라올 것 같은데 일단 코로 선수가 올라올 것 같습니다.
I think Koro and his team EDG will come to the finals.
All right, then I do want to follow up because we talked to Koro beforehand, and he said, well, I think I can beat Marin. What do you feel about that matchup specifically versus Koro?
그럼 코로 선수는 이제 많이 다시 본다면 마린 선수를 이길 수 있다고 본인이 더 나은 선수라고 인 것을 증명했다고 말씀하셨는데 그거에 대해 어떻게 생각하시나요?
일단 코로 선수도 잘하는 선수인데 저보다 나은 선수일 것 같지는 않고요. 그리고 일단 경기로 한번 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
I admit Koro is a good player, but I don't think he's a better player than I am. I'll just show you my results in the actual game.
All right, well, if it comes to that, we will see. Congratulations in any case. Dominating performance here by SKT in the group stage. Dash, back over to you.
Thank you, Shock. Some looking forward there with Marin. We'll do that in a second. I want to take another look again at that early game. Spawn, to you, the pressure that AHQ applied to get that lead.
Yeah, it was just amazing. In the end, it was all came down to their jungler again. He came bottom once from behind the turret, gave up first blood, but blew all the summoner spells. From there, you'd be like, all right, guys, I did my job. Summoner spells gone. Shove in the lane, harass them, try and win out on CS. But instead, comes back a second time, really punishes them, capitalizes on all his earlier work. From there, they continue aggression. Marn comes in this time. They lose again, and you're like, okay, maybe this is getting out of hand. We should change our focus. To hell with that, they go for a fourth attempt down there. They even bring their teleport in. And in the end, they just ran over the bottom lane. They got their carry, their primary carry, that Sivir player, and into a really good position to do work.
Man, I was so excited about this game, watching it all the time, because there was so much aggression, and it was not uncontrolled, where you sometimes think, you know, what is he doing there? And there's a fight erupting there. This was really controlled, and that was really, really nice to see.
Yeah, I think in this tournament, it's going to sound a little bit like a broken record. The TPs from top laners are extremely important, and tower dive execution with junglers early game, because the people who cannot execute on those two things have already fallen by the wayside, and we're seeing that more and more.
With Rek'Sai's early game.
That's the thing, is Rek'Sai is so good at turret dives, because you use your gap closer, you don't have to use your flash like a Gragas E flash in, and you get to just unburrow on top of them, walk up. The turret aggro and jumping is very easy, because then you just come back out after flashing. It's really easy.
What I want to see from AHQ moving forward into the quarterfinal or semifinals is going to be utilizing the flanking maneuvers from the double Righteous Glory, from the global of Rek'Sai, from the flashes in Maokai versus an immobile champion like Azir. The second you get on him, he's dead. So we always saw some sort of line engages versus a team, and that's just not going to cut it versus an Azir where he can just set up the Emperor's Divide and really zone you off. Better vision denial, a little bit of better vision control, and now you get your Maokai teleporting behind the Azir. Couple it with the Nautilus ult, he dies instantly. We saw none of that. If they apply that technique to their matches moving forward, I think we might have a contender.
But
for
honestly,
first place.
I feel like AHQ did a really good job against SKT and caught them sometimes.
Oh, of course.
With their pants down, SKT was like, we start a fight here. And then CV was coming in. They bait in the fight in the top side, Tribush, for example, in the late 20, 30 minutes. And SKT is overchasing, thinking they have an opportunity. CV is going in from the mid lane. TP getting the kills, and EasyHoon with a huge play actually evening it out for a 1 versus 1, I think is Aussie play.
You can't be satisfied with what you got here. You need to go for more.
We want more.
EasyHoon, though, watching him play is just always a big treat. He died 2 times again. That's it. Like, he has only had 1 game this entire year where he's died more than 2 times. This guy just doesn't go down, and he does so much damage while he's doing it. He did 50,000 damage this game. The next highest was Ann, the very fed Sivir, doing 29,000.
Spawn last
Much higher.
Yeah, the scariest thing about this game game for me is that even when you play tempo against SKT, you make one mistake and they beat you. Yeah. Every single game they win, it's just one mistake. They snowball it, take everything off the map, crush you. So that is the scariest thing if you are going to play tempo against them.
All right, well, with the group stages officially in the books, let's see how the standings shook out. With that amazing win there, SKT remains undefeated at 5-0 and heads into the semifinals as the #1 seed. Edward Gaming and AHQ Esports Club are tied at 4-1, but with EDG owning the head-to-head over AHQ, that gives them the #2 seed, and AHQ takes third. And finally, at 2 and 3, we have Fnatic with the #4 seed and the final spot in tomorrow's bracket stage. That means we have our semifinal bracket filled in, and the stage is set for tomorrow's best of fives. First up is Korea's SK Telecom T1 versus Europe's Fnatic, and that will be followed by China's Edward Gaming versus the LMS's AHQ Esports. So now as we look ahead to those matches, gentlemen, we've seen all of these teams in close contention. When we look first at that Fnatic versus SK match, this is one of the teams that made them bleed.
I think Fnatic is really hungry for this rematch, and I think if they don't have any kind of mental blockade, which they shouldn't have after this strong performance, they can pull an upset. I'm very sure. But again, SKT, I feel all the Koreans team are like brick walls. You just bash your head and you see it crack sometimes and crumble, but in the end, you just fall flat.
We heard Marin in the interview saying that he didn't feel very good about his matchup against Huni. So, you know, again, when he's the big carry for Fnatic, will he be able to shore up, you know, his laning phase against Huni?
I think he's got a good chance of doing that, especially since Huni really just threw him for a loop. It's one of those things where if Huni leaves lane, now you're going to be able to know his tendencies, be like, okay, he might be heading mid, inform Faker or Easy Hoon, which is going to be that extra strategy that they have in those best of fives, subbing somebody out. So like they now know his tendency to want to roam and snowball the game. So after playing against Huni, I don't think it's going to be as surprising.
Now let's look at the second match, Crumbs AHQ versus EDG. EDG got the better of them last time, but AHQ again has shown us that they can really dance with these top teams.
Again, we expected them to just get better as the tournament progressed, and they have done exactly that, but there's still flaws in their closing out the game. I really want to see them learn from this. It's not the hardest thing to adapt, being able to just place a little bit more wards, buy some more pink wards. But the other thing I don't like about it is the fact that they are still very one-dimensional, just focus the bottom lane over and over and over. I mean, they had 1 or 2 ganks in the top side, which is similar to almost all the games they played. They're going to have to switch it up because that is a very exploitable thing. If the jungler chooses to take a route to counter the bottom lane dives non-stop, it's going to get punished very hard.
Yeah, I'm actually looking for EDG to revert to how they played